In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live. How you doing, Abby?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, man. I was joking before we got on here about your last name.
Yes, sir.
Because I said, hey, man, what's your last name? And then you said it, and I said, never mind, man. There's no way I'm going to say that. So what is your last name?
My last name is Valcarcel.
All right, say it one more time, a little bit slower.
Val.
Val.
Car.
Car.
Cel.
Cel, like S-E-L?
Yes.
Valcarcel?
Yes.
Damn, I said it all fucked
Close
up,
enough.
though.
Close enough.
Where are you from? I know where you're from, but...
I'm from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
The last name comes from Spain. So, cárcel means jail.
What?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
A little bit.
Valcarcel, it was like going to jail kind of thing. So it was a thing up in Spain.
So your last name is going to jail?
Pretty much.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
Your parents set you up.
And then my first name is not even any better.
Abby?
Abimael.
That's your full?
That's my full name.
Is it a V or a B?
It's a B as in boy.
So your name is A-B-I, right?
Yes.
Abby?
Yes.
Is there a story behind that name?
It's a Hebrew name. It's a Hebrew name. It's in the Bible. It means my father is God in Hebrew. So
My father is God,
Yeah.
but he's going to jail.
I'm going to
Is your
jail.
full name?
Exactly. My father's God, Esh. Because you might end up in jail.
That's why they named you that, because they knew what the last name meant.
Exactly.
We got to make this up
Right.
with the first name. So you talked about Puerto Rico a little bit. I know that's where you're from.
Yeah.
For the people that don't know, and I don't know this either, how does Puerto Rico work? Is the whole place just called Puerto Rico? Is there segments that are called different things? Is there like counties? How does it work there?
Yes. So Puerto Rico is the whole island.
Okay. And it's just one island, right?
It's one island, and then right under that island, there's two different little islands, also part of Puerto Rico. So you got Culebra, you got Vieques. They also are part of Puerto Rico.
So there's three, but just one big one, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So there's cities, just like here. There's cities, there's counties as well. So but it's very similar as far as just like the
How many cities would you say?
Oh man, you got me.
Guess. A lot?
50.
Okay.
Maybe?
Because I'm just trying to picture Puerto Rico in my head. I don't feel like 50 cities like fit.
Mm-hmm.
So are they really small cities?
They're very small cities.
So what city are you from?
I'm from San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Which sounds like a popular place. I feel like I've heard that before.
It's pretty much the capital of it.
Okay.
I was born in Rio Piedras. I pretty much lived the whole metropolitan area.
Yeah.
The last couple of years of my life out there, I live in Bayamon. So usually when people ask me, like, what part of Puerto Rico are you from? I always tell them Bayamon, which is really what I remember the most about Puerto Rico when I was growing up.
How long did you live there?
At least the last 10 years that I live out there.
And then, how old were you when you moved to, because you moved to Texas, right?
I moved to Dallas, Texas. I moved out there when I was 21.
When you're 21. And you're how old now?
I'm about to be 34 this month.
So, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
We got to do something.
Yes, sir.
So 34, 21, so 13 years you've been. You know what's funny? And I'll admit this, is I forget that Puerto Rico's part of the U.S.
Right.
And because it feels like it's not, and I've never been there.
Right.
But it's kind of how I felt when I went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like it's, but in a different way, we all know Hawaii's part of the U.S.
Right, right.
But literally going there,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, this isn't part of the U.S. It doesn't feel like the U.S. Like
Right.
it's culturally just way different.
And it's not only you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you watched the Super Bowl.
No, yeah, I watched it for sure.
And you saw the controversy between the flag and all that, and a lot of people.
What was the controversy? Because I saw a little bit of it. What are people upset about? Because J-Lo's Puerto Rican, right?
Right.
Is that part of? All right, you'd say what happened?
Well, they couldn't understand, right? The way the language that they were singing in, which it was in the Spanish language. I mean, it's Miami, right? So Miami's a high Hispanic.
Specifically, Puerto Rican though is like it's huge in Miami,
Cubans,
right?
Exactly. So it kind of makes sense to have those kind of artists.
What was the controversy? What were they complaining about?
First, they were showing too much.
I saw that one for sure.
I was enjoying it myself. You know what I mean?
I think everyone did. I think even I don't. First of all, I don't know anyone.
Right.
This is what I think about when I think about social media has a lot to do with stuff.
Right.
Because the people that I physically talk to in person,
Yeah.
everyone liked it.
Yeah.
But when I go online, everyone's making memes. There's the headline that's like there's the controversy of
Right.
like if women should be dancing on poles during
Right,
half times and stuff like that. So I always think like, is it like a company that puts out these stories to make us feel that way, or do you think people are actually upset?
I'm very confident that there's some people
You think
that
so?
are taking it to that point, to that level. Especially when they see so like beautiful women.
So you think it's like haters?
Absolutely. Like there's no doubt.
But do you think it's other beautiful women judging them, or it's people that are out of shape or don't feel good about themselves? Who do you, if you had to guess, who do you think is
people
upset?
Are out of shape?
You don't
50-year-olds that can't look like J-Lo.
I do. Damn, all right. I don't have an argument for that.
That's really what
Shakira is. How old do you think?
She's
like
43.
43.
Yeah.
You know your facts.
I know.
Man.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm on this Super Bowl thing.
I could tell you where she's from. No, I'm just kidding.
I felt like, and I did watch the halftime show. I did see everyone getting upset about it. I didn't think it was too weird, man. Like, like being honest, right? Everyone wants to make memes and joke, and they want to be like, "Well, Janet showed this." I saw one that had Adam Levine last year, and it was like all the girls were yelling for this guy, and so it's like I saw that. But being completely serious, I think that there's a time and a place for stuff. And when I watched it, I didn't feel like it was that weird. I felt like they were talented. I felt like they danced. And this isn't just to some guy that's like, dude, these are two hot girls. Legitimately being honest with myself, I don't think that there was anything even remotely weird about it. There wasn't a wardrobe malfunction. I feel like even when they were showing, like, I think at one point J-Lo had something kind of like, but she was wearing like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like almost like a under shirt or like a lining.
Right.
And so like it didn't feel weird to me. I don't know. Whoever's complaining is just being weird.
I think so too. I feel like the whole show was excellent in my opinion. They talking about that pole like she's a stripper now. Like it's just a dance, man. Like there's even pole fitness classes. Like and pole doesn't necessarily mean that you're a stripper or that it's a bad thing. Like it's just the people with old school mentality, they just want to take it to that level. Like, hey, you should not be doing that. There's kids watching. You got the clicker on your hand. Just change the damn channel.
I think people are obsessed with protecting people from things that actually exist.
Exactly.
And it's like, just because you don't want your child to know it exists doesn't mean he's not going to figure it out. Like he's going to grow up and he's going to be in college or maybe even in high school. That's when I went to my first strip club. They're going to find out.
Right.
And would you rather him find out and not have any idea of what, like, oh my God, how come I didn't know this existed? Or would you rather him be like, yeah, I know about it. I saw this on the Super Bowl.
And just the message behind it. The message behind it. You have the kids in cages singing "Born in USA." She has the Puerto Rico flag on it with the American flag behind it. The message behind that, I believe she's telling people like Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. There's kids out here suffering and feeling like they're caged in. Well, they are part of the U.S. as well.
Yeah, and Puerto Rico had a hurricane hit. How long ago was that? Would you say already?
3-4 years.
3-4 years ago. Yeah, people forget that. I didn't think any of it was disrespectful. And let's get back to that part of it too, because you're right. We're talking about Puerto Rico and people being upset. So I didn't hear that part though. Were they upset about the flag? Was that part of it too?
They were just upset about the dance and how provocative they look.
Really?
More than anything else. Which in my opinion, they look gorgeous. I don't think there was anything very provocative outside of the dance. Janet Jackson showed a little bit more than that, right?
Just a little bit.
Adam Levine was shirtless, but he's a man, right? So he can do it. So it's just, I mean, it's just people.
Yeah, I think people get upset about silly stuff that makes no sense. Right. It was fun, and if you don't like it, then don't watch the halftime show. Just turn it off, tell your kids to leave the room. I don't know. I just think it's your job. It's not other people's job. It's like if like parents started calling Showtime and HBO and said, "Hey, do you guys mind covering up all the naked scenes?"
Right.
They're like, "No, this is why we're a paid channel. Like, if you don't like it, don't watch it.
Right. But
we're not gonna just start catering." I think people nowadays think that like people need to cater. Yeah. You notice how even the regular radio stations like that we hear in our cars, they sometimes will play certain cuss words now where they didn't used to. Right. I think they're getting to a point where they're like, people are caring a little bit less.
Yeah.
On that subject though, and we're definitely gonna get back to the Puerto Rico thing. Do you remember there was a song, I forgot the name of the group. Do you remember that song? It was like, I was getting some head. Do you remember that song?
I remember that. I think that was pretty hot when I first moved to Dallas.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, dude, it was like a big song. I think I was like in high school, and I remember like that song came out, and we all knew, but I remember the radio version. This is how I always remember. Yeah. Because the radio was like, we can't say head.
Yeah.
And then they put out a version, and it was like, I was getting some and it's like they played I was getting some like that was the edited version. Yeah, and I was like listening to the radio, and I'm like, oh my God, like if my parents hear the edited version, they're gonna be upset. I better play the real version because I don't think they know what head means. And so it's weird how they used to do that, huh? Yeah, they used to always like edit it out. But for whatever reason, you could say skeet, skeet, skeet on that Lil Jon song, and no one ever caught that. And so it was just funny, man.
Yeah.
I always think of that. I'm like, man, music is so weird. It's an expression of self. No one would tell a painter. There's paintings that kids see that are like nude, and they're like, it's art. Enjoy art.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, that's what music is. It's art.
It's art.
And if there's cussing in it, that's how I feel about the podcast, because it's like I'm trying to cuss less on the podcast, but I also understand that cussing happens, and I like. So I'm like, I don't want to. I'm gonna cuss.
Yeah.
But if I can. If it's an art form almost, right? Like, and so it's like if you can make it work, or if it's relevant to make the story make sense,
absolutely,
then use it. But I tend to overly use it. When I was listening back to the first podcast I did, I spotted moments where I'm like, why did I cuss right there? Like I would just cuss like 3 times in one sentence. I'm like, I could have just said that sentence. Like I didn't need to do all that.
It kind of happens, you know. I feel.
Are you a cusser?
I don't feel like I am, but when I'm hanging out with my buddies, I feel like I cuss a lot more than when I'm not.
Really?
So I guess it comes like to maybe being cool. Ish.
Well, I don't feel that way though. Like, do you think that? Well, for sure, people cuss to be cool. But why do you think? I think it's cultural. I think it's like it's in our music, like we kind of mentioned, so it naturally comes out. Here's the thing: I work a job where you're not supposed to cuss.
Right.
I can do that just fine.
Yeah. But
when I'm having conversations, I think it's a sign of comfortability.
Yeah.
And so. Do you, what do you do for work? You don't have to say where you work, but what do you do right now?
We do, where I work, we do credit repairs.
Okay. And so you've worked in that industry for a while, from what I know, right?
Yeah.
The industry.
Right.
And so I'm assuming no cussing, right?
Absolutely not.
Have you ever had a coworker, here's a good sign, have you ever had a coworker cuss to you, like not like at you, but like you're hanging out and like, man, this fucking job.
Right.
And it's like a sign of like, oh, like we're on that level now.
Yeah.
Like, like now,
we just became best friends.
Yeah. it's like one of those moments, man.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh man, like it's weird how it's like a sign of like I respect you or I trust you enough to like say this around you. Because when at my job, which no one's cussed me yet, but in the past and like proper jobs where you're not supposed to do that. When someone finally does, I'm like, oh, we're cool now.
Yeah.
And now I got some dirt on you, and you cuss, and you got some dirt on me because I cuss back.
You say
like,
fuck, man.
Yeah. And then I said it back. So now we're friends.
Yeah.
But
you know, I'm the one that breaks that ice.
You're the cusser.
Yeah. Fuck this guy.
Yeah, dude. Well,
oh shit, I feel the same way.
I forget because I'm so censored at work. When we go to places, whether it's like someone Laura's friends or maybe a friend of my friend who I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Like I think I spend all day not cussing.
Yeah.
So when I hang out, I'm like, fuck, man, you're fucking awesome.
Right.
Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't even know these guys. Like, I know, I feel like this is a place where I could do that. Yeah. So I'm usually the one, and then I have to like look around, and I'm like, oh, like, because I don't cuss around my parents. Do you cuss around your parents?
I have, but my parents are super Christian.
What?
So once they're hearing me cussing, it's a whole battle, and they take it back to the Bible and why I shouldn't use those words and the real definition behind everything. And it's like, it's a whole like sitting at church pretty much.
Do you think that you don't cuss around them like because of that?
Yeah.
Like solely because you don't want to hear all about like God and all.
Well, I was born and raised in Pentecostal, so
you're the weirdest Puerto Rican I've ever met, man. And I know. All right, before I get into that, first of all, I do know other Puerto Ricans, but you're the only Puerto Rican I know that actually used to live in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people are Puerto Rican, and who am I to say they are or they aren't? But a lot of people say that, and maybe their last name is, or maybe they come from there, right? Just the same way as like I'm half Irish and German, but I've never been to Germany or Ireland, right? And so it's different if I meet someone from Germany, which I have. I'm like, oh, that's a real German kind of thing. So again, not saying anything different, but I do want to point that out. You're the only person that I know that actually lived there. But based off what I know from them and from you, you were a Puerto Rican. What else do I know? You grew up Christian, which is kind of weird for the Hispanic community, typically, or Catholic, right? Not always. Yeah. So I think that was weird. And you said something else earlier that was kind of different too, and I forgot what it was already. But yeah, either way, man, that's kind of cool. That it's like, so do you like your parents were Christian from the time they were like young?
Yes.
So do you know where the story behind that?
It comes from my grandma.
Okay.
She is like hardcore Pentecostal to the point like you can't wear skirts.
What is Pentecostal?
Pentecostal is I believe is the strictest Christian community as far as
Pentecostal is Christian? Is that what you're saying?
Pentecostal is Christian.
Okay.
But the rules and what they follow is so strict to the point where if you're a female you can't shave. If you
like
at all. If you are a man, you can't have like super short hair. You should have long hair.
Really?
As a man, yeah. Not necessarily long as a female, but like have hair, some kind of hair.
What about me? So I would be a terrible Pentecostal.
You pretty much just be kicked out of church.
They're like, dude, just why are you even
Mormon.
here? Would they make me grow out like to where it's like kind of receding?
I mean, you have guys that lose their hair.
But you have short hair.
I do have short hair, and
So
all
your
my
grandma
life,
mad at you?
no, all my life I was like as a kid, I had a little afro, man. Believe it or not.
Really?
My hair is super curly like my daughter's, but my hair grows like up and to the side. So I had a little fro growing up, which I liked, but once I cut my hair short, that was in high school when I went to this style that I have now. Once I cut my hair short, I loved it, and it attracted more females. So
you're like, I'm sticking with this.
I'm sticking.
Wait,
with
were
this.
you still Pentecostal when you cut it?
Yes.
And what happened? That's got to be a huge deal.
At that point, I decided like I'm old enough to make my own decisions.
How old were you?
I was about 16, 17.
Got you.
At that age, when I changed my look, my mom was all for it. My dad was all for it. And that's all the support that I needed. And after that, I pretty much just even switched the church that I was going to.
Because of your hair?
Not necessarily because of my hair, just because of my own beliefs as far as just Christianity overall.
So you think you kind of felt that way before you cut your hair?
Absolutely.
Was that kind of like a straw? Like, did your grandma get mad when you did that?
No, she didn't really get mad.
No.
She supports everything that we do as a family, but she always has a reason why you shouldn't because of the way or the beliefs that she has.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily right or wrong, right? I don't think there's anybody that can tell you you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
We just know what we know, and you make the best decision based on your knowledge. So I personally think I did what I could to be the best person, and I'm still working on it, right?
You turned out fine.
Yeah, I'm trying to be the best person I could potentially be, regardless of the way I was brought up, and I don't know. Everybody has their own beliefs as far as religion and everything like that. So religion is a very sensitive subject. People have different beliefs as far as all of that. So I just say what I say, and after that, like I don't. That's it. Like I don't really.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a debate. Those are the two things I hate talking about: politics and religion. Yeah. Specifically with someone you can kind of sense you're like, all right, this dude just wants to argue.
Right.
He doesn't want to learn about what I think. He wants to argue with
me.
See, with me, I'm different because I don't. And I'll tell you a little bit about my backstory. I'm not religious at all. I'm also not spiritual, whatever the hell that means, because everyone always asks that, like, do you believe? I believe in a higher power. I believe we go somewhere when we die. I believe I don't know what that is. Right. And I believe that I'm waiting till all the facts come out to figure out how I feel. Yep. And because I'm that way, it allows me to be open to other people's ideas. So I'm sitting here listening to you talk about your history of stuff. I find it interesting. And I go, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. Yeah. Oh, that's strange. This is awesome. Whatever it is. And I'm allowed to, like, it allows me to freely kind of feel. Yeah. Like, and so when I talk to people that are Mormon, I find that interesting. Right. I talk to Muslims. I find that interesting. Right. And so it's like Christians, Catholics. Like, I've been to a Catholic church. I was actually raised as a Christian. I went to church not at all in my life when I was young, because I grew up really poor, and maybe we went to churches to like get like food or something, you know what I mean, like whatever they're handing out, like goods and services, whatever, to get support. Maybe I don't remember that, but for sure later on in life I moved in with my grandma. Grandmas love church, huh? Right. All of them. I moved in with my grandma in El Paso. She went to a Baptist church, so I went with her for a bunch of years, and I kind of like maybe like 3 or 4 years went. And I just went. I remember I didn't want to go at all, but I just went because my grandma was like, "If you go with me, I'll take you out to eat a Cracker Barrel afterwards." And we're like, "What?" Yeah, white people love Cracker Barrel, dude.
Right. Hey, I do too.
And so I used to go to church all the time just so my grandma would take me to Cracker Barrel. Yeah. But I did learn some church stuff, and I'm glad she made me go because it made me realize how much I don't want to be like those people. Right. And I don't mean to like for Christians to get upset with me. Right. See, I feel comfortable talking about this. How you're mentioning like people have their opinions. I don't care because this is my opinion. Right. I feel like that every single race has some great parts and some parts that could be a little better. Right. And I also think there's different versions of Christians. There's like the Christian that's kind of open and wants you to be a good person and stuff. And then there's the Christian that like tells you like God's gonna burn you if you like you do this thing or whatever. And so, and the same thing with every religion, I'm sure. But that's kind of how I feel about it. I feel I find people interesting, and I don't have any solid beliefs, but I can say that like I really really enjoy hearing like people's like what they believe in, and I don't care. Like I really, it doesn't make me change my opinion at all. But people in general, for some reason, tend to argue about religion and politics.
They get so mad. Too much. They get so mad if you don't have their same beliefs. Yeah. They get so upset about it, and that's what really urged me. Because I'm like, dude, like you can have your own opinions. I can have my own. You can believe in whatever you want to believe, and I can respect that. Yeah. Why can't you respect my beliefs? Like, why do we have to fight or argue about it? And the same thing comes with going back to religion. Like, I believe that there's a supernatural power. I believe that after we pass, we do go somewhere else. But those people that I grew up with are the most hypocrite people that I know, because they talk to you about God so much and they want for you to follow everything based on what they believe. But you turn their back and they talking so much smack about the person sitting right next to them.
Did you see that a lot in your church?
And that's what really made me realize, like, dude, who are you to judge this person? Mm-hmm. Like, you are nobody to be judging this person.
Was this the Pentecostal church? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying you saw people that went to the Pentecostal church judging other people that also went to the same church?
Absolutely. Yeah. Specifically my own family. I'm like, dude,
really?
What are you doing?
That's kind of crazy, man.
Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you telling me this stuff when you're doing absolutely the complete opposite? Yeah. So it's just that's really what pushed me away from that religion. I have my own relationship with the God that I believe in.
Yeah.
I do talk to the God that I believe in. And that's just what it is.
Do you think that you'll raise your kids to go to church?
I would like to, but at the same time, I want to give them the opportunity for them to decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
But I would like for them to understand, like, or know what I believe, and maybe take them sometimes so they can see what it is.
Like maybe make them go like the first time and then like see how they feel about it. Give them the option to. I think that, so one of the things, I'm glad that you said that. So one of my adoptive family, not my biological family, the family that adopted me when I was like a freshman in high school, there's, I hate using the term super, they're really Christian. They go to church. They're really involved with their church. They're really involved with their beliefs. And they did at one point kind of make me like feel like I should go too, but I think that had more to say with me,
right?
Because they all of them, my other siblings, like they went, my parents went, and so I was like, at one point I remember thinking like maybe I should go just because they go, and I want to fit in with them because they're my new family.
Yeah.
I never did. I never went. I always was stubborn about it, but they were pretty good, and I always give them crap for it. My dad, because he'll call me and like, or like he'll slip it in. And I'm like, hey, like I'm having a rough time, and he'll be like, yeah, like I think that if you focus on like your breathing, and then, I mean, there's always God, like throw it in there real quick, and then also make sure you're eating right. Like, obviously, I'm exaggerating like the conversation, but he'll slip it in there real quick, and I'm like, and I always like, I respect it. I never say anything. I go, yeah, whatever. Right. And he always kind of feeds me the idea, but he specifically has always been that way, where he's like. He encourages me to go, but it's never annoying. He never overly encourages me, and he knows where I stand at with it. And they've never forced me to go, but they always remind me, hey, if you ever want to go, you can go with us.
That's the kind of people I like to talk to, because they know, like, hey, if I push it too much, I'm gonna completely push them away.
Yeah,
I'm just
like
gonna
what's the
throw
point?
it here and there and see what happens.
Yeah. I think that's the way to go. I think that's how I'll be when. Actually, I don't think I'll be that way when I have kids, because I don't also go. If I did go, then I would. But here's the thing in reverse, talking about respecting other people's religion. If my child makes a friend with someone and like, hey, can I go to church with him? I'm not going to be like, no, don't go. We don't do that. I'm going to go, yeah, go. Like, and then if my child asks me, like, why don't you go? I will tell them how I feel, but I would go, hey, you don't have to feel that same way. Like, you're allowed to make your own like thoughts. And if you want to go, I'll even drop you off. I'll take you. Maybe one day I'll go with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can do what you want to do.
But do you feel like the Bible, like, this is my my thought behind it. We all have a story, right? I can tell you my story, and you're gonna tell my story to somebody else. Are you gonna tell my story the exact same way that I told you my story?
No, which is why I like this podcast, because people can hear it exactly how you said it, including ourselves. I like that you said that, because I thought about that recently. I was thinking, and I don't mean to take over where you were going at, but it's kind of funny that you said that, because I was thinking of the podcast. I don't think people realize, the people that listen, or maybe the people that don't, that will listen in the future, doing this podcast is one of the bravest things that you can do, right? Because not only am I talking about my opinions, if it's just me and you hanging out and we say something crazy, first of all, exactly what you said, you may remember it differently. It's not as impactful. And so like life goes on. You can tell someone about it, but they don't really know. They're just going off what you said. But doing this podcast, people are literally seeing it, including me. I might go back and rewatch it and go like, damn, I did say it like that. You know, sometimes we're like, I never said that. Like when you're in arguments or something, me and Laura will argue, and I'm like, I didn't say that. Like, if I had a podcast or something like a view, I might go like, oh, damn, I did say that. Yeah, because we don't know. We're in the moment and stuff. And so it's vulnerable to do these kinds of things. And it's kind of funny, because it's like, that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this. That's part of the reason I do it in one take. Is because I want to be authentic and real and be held accountable for it. And it's super brave for people like me, you, anyone else that's been on this, anyone else is doing something similar,
Right.
to give your opinion on something. And you're literally the most vulnerable thing you can do, knowing that people all over the world that may never even tell you about it are going to judge you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you just be cool with it.
Exactly. Yeah. And kudos to you, man, for doing this.
Thanks, man.
This is something that I guess a lot of people really think about, like, doing.
Yeah.
It sounds fun.
Especially
it sounds
recently.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see a lot of Facebook, a lot of podcast shows, just YouTube. You get anywhere, and there's a lot of this stuff going on. But just to have the balls to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
No, I
cut
appreciate
that. Don't
that.
cut that.
Can't say balls, bro.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
It's
Just
testicles.
to have,
It's what's the sound effect for balls?
Just make
That's
it
like a fart. I was trying to do like a bust. I can't do a bust sound. Damn, we're getting crazy right now.
Yeah.
But if this is an edited podcast by the radio, they'd be like, they'd put like a moo or
like,
something on. Yeah, guys,
yeah, you have some.
You can just say balls.
You have some big.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, for even
the kids will never know what you said right there.
Just for doing this, man. Like this is
thanks,
is
man.
Huge, and I'm glad you invited me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks, man. I need this, bro. Like this is kind of thing that I can do without going out and acting stupid, because I started realizing I'm in counseling, and so through my counseling, I started realizing who I am as a person, what an extrovert and introvert really means. I think people think that an extrovert is someone who's always out and an introvert is someone who's always home. It's not true. I could be 51% extrovert, 49. We both have a little bit of both.
Right.
The real definition of extrovert needs to go out so they can and be social, so they can recharge their batteries in order to be like in a one-on-one situation.
Right.
And then an introvert tends to be alone and needs to be alone to recharge their batteries so they can go out and be in groups.
Right.
And so it's really just like a what do you lean more towards? You can have both. And so there's always that weird thing where people that get called extroverts, like, I'm not, like, no, I have friends. I'm not saying that. And then extroverts are the wild, crazy. No, like, it's both. But I like that because I get that same feeling from doing this. Like, this one-on-one feels social. Feels like I'm in a group right now. It feels like I'm having this conversation. And so when I'm alone with my thoughts, I can be more productive and healthy and think better and think clear. Yeah. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to do it, is to get that fix without going out, going to a bar or club, having too much to drink because I'm into that moment. Then I have to drive home, maybe get a DWI, maybe get into a fight while I'm there. Things happen. And so it's like it's safer here doing this, and like it's fun too.
Yeah, ain't nobody trying to fight you. Did he used to do MMA?
Oh, dude, everyone tries to fight me. That's part of the reason why I did MMA the first time. First of all, I wasn't always this big. People that know me now, people that always know me know that, but people that see me now, they're like, that's a big guy. I weighed 165 when I graduated high school, and I was like 6'1". So I was tall and skinny. And so I did get like, I went through a phase where I was getting fights all the time, and then I started training, and then I got into more fights. But now that I'm bigger, people tend to leave me alone. And so it's cool because I don't want to get into fights anymore. And so like now people that act tough, I can see it. Like I see it in like at a club or something.
Right.
A guy that's acting tough and he'll come around and I don't act tough back. I'm like, hey brother, how you doing? Hey man, I get a little bit different, like being an observer, I get a little bit different respect from those people than maybe someone that's smaller. And I can sense that in people. But I enjoy that not because it makes me feel good. I don't feel like I'm in control. I don't feel like I'm like punking anyone around, but I like being bigger because I avoid fights. When I was smaller and more healthier, I could breathe better and was a better fighter. I got into fights all the time, man.
Why do you think people always attack you?
I don't. Well, most of it sometimes it was me. I'll tell you a story. Okay. And so here's how weird I used to get, man. First of all, there's tons of stories that I could tell you, right? I have like actual fights and then I have a bunch of street fights, but there's this one fight where it was kind of like, I think, sometimes people let things, this is the fight or flight. I don't ever like flight, and I definitely don't freeze. I know freeze is in there. I don't know how. Sometimes those things are good. Another thing where people think is like, oh, if you do those things, you're a pussy. You have to fight. I don't think that's true. I think in reality, if you're in a club, I'm going to give you an example. If someone bumps into you or steps in your new shoes, we know how that feels. Ugh, like you want to say something, but it happens. You stepped on some shoes before too. Just move on. That's the whole like flight, if you want to call it flight, whatever. And so it's like there's benefits to that. But I went through a phase where I didn't have that, and I thought that people would notice if I let people get away with stuff, and so I instigated a lot of things that I shouldn't have. And there was one time we're at a bonfire, and I was hanging out there with a bunch of people, and I was talking to this girl, and we're in the middle of a conversation. There's a guy in his Jeep that was trying to leave. And he starts pulling up, like to leave. And there's, I don't, you ever been to a bonfire? There's cars everywhere.
Yeah.
There's not like a parking, like no one parks the right way. And so I'm standing there talking to her, and I guess he came up from behind me and his lights were on. And he was like inching like to get me to go, but I didn't know that because I'm talking. The lights didn't like stand out to me because other people had their lights on because they were playing music.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like the lights came on and I knew to get out of the way. I guess this guy got offended that I wasn't moving, and so he went to drive past me, but he ends up catching my jeans. And his tire like kind of runs over my leg. Not like my leg didn't break. It kind of like pulled me down. It barely like sideswiped my leg. It gave me a big old thing, and I fell down. And they drove off. And so this ends up being a Jeep with like 5 other people in it, like full Jeep. So what, 6 total maybe, or maybe 5 if there's 3 in the front and then 1 in the passenger, 1 in the driver. But when they went to take off, when they realized they hit me, and then but there's people, like it's a bonfire, so they had to stop. And I looked over at the girl I was talking to at the time, and she looked at me like she probably was concerned, but in my mind, she was like, "You bitch, you let those dudes run over." You know what I mean? I looked over, and people saw it, and like just the ego in me, I was like, "Nah, I got to go tell this guy." And so I walked over to his Jeep. His window was down. He was stopped. I walked up. He saw me like kind of weird, like, "Fuck, I just hit this dude." And then to the driver, and I literally was like, I just could at least tell him something.
Right.
And I was like, "Hey man, you just ran over me. You just ran over me back there with your Jeep." And he was like, "Well, next time, move out of the way." And I was like, I just didn't even think, dude. I just started hitting him through the window, like outside of the Jeep. Just started punching him hard. Like, I think I didn't knock him out, but I definitely dazed him because he fell back. He was trying to hit me from inside, but he kept punching his own, like, because it's just a weird angle, man. And I had the better angle. So while I'm hitting him, the other dudes get out of the car. I back up because I realize I'm about to get jumped. That dude gets out. All 5 dudes are coming at me. I don't even know this yet, but like my boys behind me, they said something like me, like, "Dude, we're gonna fuck you up." Like, I guess that dude, it turns out that guy had like a spinal issue, and so they're like, "Dude, you're beating up our friend. It was a spinal." Like, I don't remember what it was. He had a brace on, not that day, but I guess because later on I actually ended up being friends with this guy. That's how I knew the full story. But apparently he had some spinal issues. Like, dude, you're trying to hurt our friend. I don't think they understood what he did. I mean, they knew, but they're just protecting their buddy, which I don't blame them. So they all, like, I'm about to get jumped by 5 dudes. One of my friends behind me, I don't even know he's behind me, has his gun and ends up shooting in the air, like, to scare those dudes. Those dudes, you see the look on their face, man. They're like, oh. And they're like, "Dude, this isn't even worth it." And they got in their Jeep and just drove away. And I think at the time I was like, "Who the fuck those guys?" You know what I mean? Everyone's like, "Dude, that's awesome, Will. You beat that guy up." And it was cool. I'm like, "Whatever, dude." I went back to talk to that girl. But when I look back at it as an adult, I'm like, how bad could that moment be? What if he pulled out his gun and those dudes also have guns? And guess who's in the middle of a gunfight? I am. Or what if they did beat me up and like hurt me because they think I hurt their friend who was hurt? And so those are the kind of things that would happen, right? So when you ask me, like, well, who's trying to fight you? Idiots like that do things, and then maybe I instigate it further, and that would happen a lot. And I've learned to, like, kind of stay back. I've learned to kind of look at someone and go, oh, that guy's willing to fight. Someone to, like, have boundaries with that person. Because it doesn't matter if I can win or not. Like, if I say something silly to him, he's going to try to fight me.
I get it. I don't think I ever been in any... I think I've been in 3 fights in my life.
What? When's the last one? How long ago?
Man. Right back in high school, basketball game. I remember we.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Yeah, it used to be.
Maybe it counts. What happened?
It used to be all those like everybody just get all together and start pushing and shoving, and it nobody really throws punches outside to like the air trying to act tough.
If it's an outdoor basketball game, there's punches for sure.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you're in a gym.
Yeah, it was like it was a high school team, so it was an organized.
So you're fighting the other team,
right?
Gotcha.
Right. It's
usually pushing.
It's really not a fight. So if I go back to the last fight I had, it was probably back in middle school. So I'm pretty much 3-0. 3 fights in my life.
So the middle school one was the second one.
Middle school, yeah. No, actual fights like fist fighting.
Yeah, like you guys do some blows or something.
Middle school.
That was your
3 times. 3 times in middle school.
Okay.
My fights in high school, I don't technically count those because it was just pushing.
I got you.
Acting tough. Nobody really did anything.
How did your middle school fight go?
The first one I beat him up pretty good.
What was it about? What were you guys fighting?
It was just we were playing tag.
It's a baller story.
I got pissed off. Nobody was following the rules. I got freaking pissed off.
What are the rules of tag?
Exactly. There's no fucking rules.
It's hard to fuck up tag, man.
Exactly. So I remember him turning his back at me and just walking away when I was trying to talk. So I feel like
you were trying to like set him straight, and he's like, just
and
like,
then he
fuck
just turned
this.
his back, kind of thing, and then like I feel like he disrespecting me at that point, right?
Mhm.
And there's other people around you, so you feeling like, man, like if
That's
I
the
don't,
same thing I was feeling.
Yeah,
Like I
if
gotta do something.
yeah, if I don't do anything, they're gonna think I'm a pussy, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's a man mentality. Like I don't think females do that. It's like this bitch, and they just walk away, right?
I think it's a little bit of it with women, but it's
Yeah.
for sure amplified with men.
Man, and then I remember just going, I ran, and I was probably like back then I was probably one of the quickest, fastest runners back in my school.
Yeah.
And I ran and I just pushed him on his back. So I remember him just turning around and swinging at me. And once he swung, I'm like, oh, it's on. So
Did he hit you?
No.
He missed?
So he swung. He missed because I just went back a little bit and I just hit him the first time. And once I hit him pretty hard on his face. So he kind of like, instead of keep fighting, he was trying to protect himself. So he just kept swinging at him. Once I was done, I got tired of it. It was done, right?
Mm-hmm.
We went back to our class. The second class after that, we had the class together in the classroom, and we just became the best friends ever.
It's weird how, I don't know if it's still that same way because I haven't fought in so long, but for sure in middle school and like back when you're in school, there's a weird thing with guys where if you box, like you're cool afterwards.
Right, yeah.
You're like, all right, let's move on.
Yeah.
But like, and I hate generalizing, but women will hold grudges forever,
For
like for the longest
for
time.
life.
Yes.
For life. With
And
people
so,
that I don't even talk to anymore.
I know a girl, and I won't say her name, that recently this has come up where she was like, it was about Laura, and she was like, oh, I don't like her. And the person talking to her was like, well, why not? And then she ended up saying like, oh, and she pretty much told a story from like way back in the day.
In 1942.
And so Laura's like, wait, what? Like, I mean, yeah, that did happen. That was a long time ago. Like, I
Right.
never thought that was an issue.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's way more common that way. With guys, man, my last fight, I fought the guy twice. And then like, we still weren't cool, but then I saw him like a year later, like one of our friends, we had a mutual friend that passed away. And we're like, man, like, why are we even like mad at each other?
Right.
Let's just squash it.
Yeah.
And to this day, he's cool, man. Me and him are super cool.
Yeah.
I don't see him everywhere. I see him at the gym sometimes, and he's never once acted tough. I never acted tough to him.
Yeah.
I think he's cool. You know what I mean? It's just like that was back in my time when I had something to prove. But I like going out in Cruces, and I like feeling safe.
Right.
And I like knowing that there's not really, at least that I'm aware of, there's not really anyone that's like looking to get me.
Right.
But I remember getting in so many bar fights. I remember getting in fights and then forgetting who I fought. Like, I'm like, damn, I hit like 4 dudes last night in a giant rumble. I'm like, what if they remember me?
Right.
So then I'm looking at people I don't know, like if they're him. It's just stressful, man. And so like, I don't, I stay out of that.
I've been the kind of guy that I always try to avoid as much as I can potentially can. I hate fighting. I don't like the feeling of it. I don't like the feeling of hurting anybody else. I don't like the feeling of somebody hurting me. Because you never know who the hell you're gonna have in front of you. How about if they have a gun or a freaking knife and you get stabbed and this is the last fucking breath you're gonna take in your life.
Yeah, you never know.
It's at that exact moment. So I try to avoid as much as I can, honestly. I love people. I try to find a solution to any problem that I face. And if it comes down to fighting, then it comes down to fighting. But I'm going to try my best not to fight.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to look at it. If I never get into a fight for the rest of my life, like that's great.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to fight anyone. Yeah. But there is an instinctual thing about me where I do get a little bit of like, what the... Like, recently we went to... I was with Laura and her sister. I think maybe Jose was there. And we were going around. My friend Stefan was there. And I think we're going, it was the end of the night. Have you been to Rad here?
Yeah.
So we were leaving Rad, and then they were like, hey, let's go to Toad Creek, which is like a couple buildings down from it. But it was towards the end of the night, and I guess that place closes down earlier than Rad. And so they're like, let's go in here. And I went to go in. Dude, there's people in the patio and in the bar drinking. And so we go to walk in. The security guard is sitting at a table drinking, like with people.
Right.
I don't want to accuse him of drinking. It looked like he was drinking. Okay. He was with a group of people that were drinking. And he turns around and goes, hey, man, we're closed. And I was like, oh, like, you know what I mean? I didn't say anything. I looked around, and he goes, did you not hear me, man? We're closed. Like, if I was stupid.
Right.
And then so I told him, I'm like, hey, bro, like, what do you guys look open. I'm sorry. I'm trying to walk in here. He was looking at me like I was an idiot for walking in.
Yeah.
Like, there's people in here, a lot of people, including you, and it looks open. Like, don't, like, and my first instinct was to take it further, and Laura saw it. And I was like, what the... And he was like a nerdy-ish kind of like overweight security guard. So I could tell that he was acting extra tough because he was with his friends, probably drinking.
Right.
And so I was like, my first thought was like, dude, like, I'll show this guy. I didn't do it. I was so proud of myself. I'm like, do we walk away? We walked away, and I remember like breathing, and then like I told him like, hey, the old Will wouldn't even have said anything back to him. I would have just walked in there anyways and like at least scared him.
Yeah.
Like at least.
Yeah.
But I've grown to the point where I'm like, when that stuff happens, I can't help but speak my mind, but then I can always stop and go like, well, where is this going to take me?
Yeah.
Is he going to change his life because I'm talking crap to him right now?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Right.
I'm just going to walk away.
It's sometimes that's the best decision in life, man. Like, I guess growing up, you don't have that same mentality you have now where you understand the consequences of every action.
Yeah.
Back then you don't, man. Like, it is what it is. You're going to try to fuck somebody up, and what happens if you get fucked? Like,
yeah, that never crosses your mind. It's like a risk you take. In my head, though, when I was getting all these fights, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way, I'm truly talking about how I felt. I felt like I was going to win all those fights. Even the ones, there's one specifically where afterwards I look back, I'm like, that guy was way bigger than me. Dude, do you know who Austin Trout is?
Yeah.
I almost fought that guy.
Really?
Dude, I'll tell it. I've never told this story publicly. I've just told it to friends, and I hope one day I can get Austin in here.
Yeah.
So, because I think if I tell him, he'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. So Austin Trout, back in the day, this is right around the time he just won like the Mexico world title. He used to hang out with one of my foster brothers, Patrick.
Okay.
Who's no longer, he passed away a few years ago, but they were really good friends. And then so me and my brother were hanging out one day, and I knew the name Austin Trout, right? But I didn't really know who he was.
Right.
This is around the time I was doing MMA fighting. Someone stole my brother's motorcycle. So for like at least 3 or 4 days, we're trying to figure out, like, dude, who stole his bike? We're like, well, the cops will figure it out.
Yeah.
We got a tip that and I won't say his name, but it was one of the friends of Austin and Patrick. And I didn't know, I knew that Austin Trout and Patrick were friends. I didn't know that this person was like also their friend. And so whenever I found out that was him, pretty much he ends up calling us like, hey, dude, I found your bike. I'm going to bring it to you. We're like, dude, we just got told that you stole his bike.
Yeah.
Like, how do you have his bike? Where'd you find it? Just some guy's house. Can you take us to this house? He's actually my friend, so I don't want to tell you where. I'm like, dude, you stole his bike, man. Right. And so my brother at the time was just like, let's just give my bike back. And I'm like, nah, man, we're going to fuck this dude up, dude. We got to show him a lesson. Like, it was just like that mentality, dude. I must have been like 19, 20 years old. And so we tell him, meet us at Sonic. Like, dude, just bring us the bike. He gets there with the bike, and then in a different car is my buddy Patrick and Austin. And they, I guess, have this guy's back. And so it's like, when he got there, I feel like I'm actually going to say his name, and that's why I don't want to do that. When he got there, like, me and him got each other's face. I'm like, dude, I fucking trusted you. He was one of my friends, man.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, dude, you used to like come over to the house all the time. And I was trying to like get him to like get rowdy or at least get scared, which he was. Austin caught on to it, and he ends up stepping in front of him, and he's like, hey, and he, by the way, super humble guy. Through this whole thing, he never once got aggressive with me.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, man, let it go. Like, your brother got his bike back. And I was like, fuck you, man. Like, to Austin.
Yeah.
And at this point, my boys are like, dude, that's fucking Austin Trout, dude. And so he was like, hey, man. And I'm like, dude, I'll fuck you up too, bro. And he was like shorter than me, you know what I mean? But he's obviously way more fit than me.
Yeah.
And he never even got arrogant. He was like, cool, man. Like, that's fine. Like, maybe you will, whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm like, fuck you and him. I'll fuck you up too. And then my friend Patrick was looking at me like, fuck, like, this is my really good friend, and he's about to fight Austin Trout, who's my really good friend. And so it was like really awkward, and like my friend's like, dude, we gotta go. And I'm like, nah, fuck that. And I think I don't know if I pushed him, but I for sure like was in his face. I was super aggressive to him. And he never once got mad. He was just like, hey, buddy, like, just get out of here, man. I don't want any trouble. We'll leave too. I just want to make sure I'm finding my friend. And that was it, dude. And like, he got in the car, and I told my friend Patrick, I'm like, I'll hit you up later. I get in the car, and everyone's like, dude, do you know who that was? And I'm like, I don't give a fuck who that was. Like, some dude I'm about to drop. Like, I was just being all stupid. And like, dude, that's Austin Trout.
Yeah.
And I go like, I don't give a fuck. And they're like, dude, like, do you know who that is? I'm like, well, I heard, like, he like is a boxer, right? But you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I saw that clip of him like winning the world title, and I'm like, oh, like,
that dude. Good thing you were cool about it.
I was like, God, man, that dude would have dropped me, man. Like, but thank God that professional fighters, which he was at the time, even if he wasn't, and I don't know him personally, but I feel like he would have been the same way. And I'll give him credit for that. As a celebrity here in town, like, he could have easily been wild and acted stupid. He was just totally like, I think he knew when you're that good, you're like, I don't need to prove anything to this guy. Like, I'd for sure beat up this silly little white kid who's trying to fight me right now. Yeah. So he was just like, nah, man. But it's those things when I look back, I'm like, damn, dude. When you're like, we don't think about the consequences. It's a perfect example.
Yeah. I never been that kind of person, honestly. Like,
no?
I've just never been the one that wants to fight. I've never been the instigator. I'd never been that person, but I was so much involved in sports that I don't think I have.
Do you think that helped you, like being in a group sports and stuff?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I grew up so athletic, so I just didn't want to throw that away. Like,
don't toot your own horn, man.
Yeah, no,
I'm just kidding.
And I don't mean that in a cocky way. I
get what you're saying.
I just knew that I had something special, something that I could have put into work. I jumped high. I was fast. I ran. I was in shape.
So you were aware, like, hey, I can do something.
I could do something with this. So I wanted to take it as far as I could take me.
Yeah.
But of course, females got involved, and you start losing track of what you wanted to do, and that's
twice during this podcast that you're like, well, females came on. I'm gonna assume. Were you? Be honest. Were you like a ladies' man before? Because you're in a relationship now. You've been in a relationship for a long time, right? Yeah. How long have you been in a relationship?
6 years.
Okay.
6 years.
So before that, like, were you kind of like? Was that kind of your role?
Yeah. I went through. I guess we all. I don't know if you have, but I went through the stage in high school when I started to realize that females were attracted to me. So
that for sure didn't happen. Yeah. I had a very different experience.
So I started using that to my advantage. So I pretty much started dating as many females as I could at the same time.
So you date multiple women at the same time?
I did.
Damn. How many most at the same time?
I believe the most I had so far was 4.
Bro, you're Puerto Rican for sure.
Yeah.
That's some baller shit, man.
Yeah.
How old were you? Like,
right around 16 to 18 ish.
That was like your.
That's about the time frame that I started.
Did they know that you were dating other girls?
I did. I eventually find out. So they, It was.
Would they stay with you when they found out?
No. There was actually one that was extremely loyal. So she's like, oh, forget about it. Just let them go. You know, I'm like.
As long as I'm the main one.
Yeah, I'm the main bitch.
Where do you think that came from, man? Do you ever reflect, like, why was I that way? Because you're not that way now at all.
I am not that way at all. I think it comes back to the person that made me. So my father.
Yeah.
I think it came from him. He's always been that type of guy. His dad has been that type of guy. So I think it just came to that point where I was like, let me see how this feels like. Yeah. And it's honestly not a good feeling, to be honest, just playing with people's feelings and not being honest, always having to make up a lie, different stories of why you're not, didn't show up on time or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not something that I want to put anybody through ever again in my life. So I learned my lesson. I'm glad that it happened at that young age where there was nothing really serious going on. It was just learning experiences.
Well, thank God at that age you could probably do stuff like that and get. You weren't the only one, by the way. I knew tons of people that were that way. Do you remember what changed? Like, was there like a aha moment where you're like, "Oh Jesus, I don't want to do that"?
I think when it happened to me.
Oh Jesus, that's usually damn. Yeah. All right.
I think when it happened to me and the tables turned and I was cheated on, that's when I realized, man, this really hurts. Like,
really,
why am I doing this to people? So I think that really was the change in my life, that I decided to just change my whole personality and just take things serious. Plus, it was somebody that I felt like I loved back then. If it was love, I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, that's a weird subject too, but I get what you're saying. It was whether it was or would have been or what it could have been in the moment. You felt that way, and that's how you have to treat it, right?
Right.
And so it was super impactful because of the feelings you had for her. Damn, dude.
Yeah. So that's a life change right there.
Yeah.
So I would never want to make anybody in my life, not friends, my future wife, nobody in my life, I want to feel like I've betrayed them. No one. I'd rather save a friendship than money, honestly. Friendship to me means a lot more. A relationship with someone means a lot more to me than anything in life. You always gotta need people, man. Money comes and goes. That's the way I feel about it. Relationship and friendships, to get a good friendship and have a good relationship, you only get that so many times in your life. So just take full advantage of it. Yeah,
you can't like re-meet someone. We were talking about that on a previous podcast, how it's like, yeah, first impressions are important, but also maintaining a relationship with a friend. Like I'm never going to re-meet you.
Right.
So at this point, we're friends.
Right.
And I can decide to ruin that, or I can nurture it, make it better, or I can keep it exactly the way it is, right? But I can't redo it.
Right.
And so you have to make sure, like, what do I value in this person? Where's that? So I like that you said that, because I think that's super important. I think people forget that you have to, the same way you're establishing a relationship with the person you're with, you have to have that same thing with your friends, man. Like, you can't be, if you're like not going to show up like to your friend's stuff or their kids' stuff or whatever's important to them, like they're not going to show up for yours. Or maybe they do, and you're just the shitty friend who isn't as good a friend as they are. It never ends up well.
Yeah.
And so you have to do your best to put in an effort to at least show like, hey, like I can be this version of myself when it's necessary.
Yep.
Because there's two different versions. Like I think, at least me and Laura were talking about this recently. Like even like when I went to help you out with the thing, right? When you guys were moving into your house, like I didn't like it wasn't like me and you had been hanging out a lot and I owed you a favor and so I went. You know what I mean? It was just like you had text me. I said, yeah, I want to help out. I want to go do that, and I went and did it. I think what was cool, me and Laura, when we were talking about it, was at the end of it. You're like, hey, what are you going to do? I was like, hey, I'm going to go get some food. And you're like, hey, where are you going? I want to pay for it. I'm like, dude, I'm going to go eat at home. Like, it's cool. But it doesn't matter whether I accepted it or not. It's the fact that you thought, hey, I want you to like feel appreciated for the work that you helped me with, right? And to me, that was enough.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the kind of, to me, that's a really good friendship, because it's me going, hey, I'll help you out. And it's you going, hey, this isn't just a one-sided friendship. I want to help you out too. Whether one side's accepted or not doesn't matter, as long as you know there's something there. So I think people forget that part of it. Like, I know a lot of people that complain about their friendships, and if they're my personal friends, I usually stay out of it. But if they weren't, I would tell them, hey, well, look at yourself. Like, if you're having an issue in your friendship, like, what can you do better, right? At least if your friendship isn't working out, you can say that you've done your part, but can you say that today?
Absolutely.
And so I think people forget that.
Yeah. I was talking to Jen the other day about this as well, because we feel like we have so many good friends in our lives. So we're trying to get better at reaching out as well. Because we feel like our life is so busy and so hectic that sometimes we don't reach out to our friends, and it's always them texting us, hey, how you doing? How are things going? So we're trying to get better as far as just say, how about let me text you first? Let me ask how you're doing. How are things going?
Yeah, I suck at that too.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a big, I suck big time too. But it comes that you just let life get on your way. You make every excuse possible not to do it. But it only takes, 3 seconds to text someone?
If that, yeah. You're right. And I always think that, because I hate saying that to people. Like, when I haven't seen someone in a while and they're like, hey, man, but I feel like, what are you going to say? Like, if I haven't seen a friend, like, I literally have a friend that reached out to me recently that I haven't seen probably longer, but at least a year.
Yeah.
And my first thing I told them was like, yeah, I've just been busy with school and my job, and me and Laura are planning a wedding. Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, but like not all the time. Like the way I painted that picture, like I'm at home, like doing homework while I'm planning a wedding real quick. Like it's just not the way it is.
One hand here.
And so I hate saying it, but then I'm like, what am I gonna say? Like, hey, like I just forgot about you for the year, which is partially true because my life went on and life happens sometimes as the same way as it did for that person. So I never know the right thing to say, but to be honest, I think you're absolutely right. Like it takes a moment to reach out to someone, and that's it. And even if you don't text them back, like at least text them. When things like the Kobe Bryant thing happen, or things like that, where you're like, you start realizing like all these things, like people pass away in an instant that nobody saw coming, and everyone always talks about what they could have done better. It's like, why don't you just start treating the people around you like they're gonna die tomorrow? Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Maybe we'd all make better friends if we did that.
That's how I try to live life, man. Yeah, one day at a time, and you don't know if you're gonna wake up tomorrow, so do the freaking best you can today, because if you can impact somebody's life today, they're gonna remember that for the rest of their life. So I try to do that, man. And I remember when I first met your fiance, I remember we went to a restaurant, because her and my fiance are super good friends. And we went to a restaurant, and I remember talking to her, and I remember her texting or calling Jen and saying, hey, Abby and Will should meet, because I think they have a lot in common. And I was like, yeah, let's make this.
Yeah, I remember telling me that too.
Yeah, and after I met you, we do have a lot in common as far as just like sports and all that stuff. But I was like, we really don't have anything else in common. As far as the things that we like, right? Like your personal things that you like. Yeah. Stuff. So I feel like as far as like the stuff that we do have in common is like our work ethic, sports, just gym. And
not even all sports. But here's the thing: is if I first met you and I didn't think to ask him those questions, we wouldn't be friends. Right? Like it's like giving someone the opportunity to understand and ask questions and figure it out. I could probably get along with anyone. You know what I mean? And I don't like to say that because it's not to downplay any certain relationship that I have, a certain friendship, whatever. But it's like with me and you, like you're right. Like we like sports, but not all sports.
Right.
We like both like basketball, right? But we both like when we sit down and have these conversations, it seems seamless because we both agree you shouldn't cheat on people. We both agree to understand people's religion so far. We both agree that fighting's kind of silly but needs to be done. So there's these deeper moral levels that you're never going to find out because people don't talk about that when you meet someone. And we're talking about a friendship. But if there's anybody listening that's like, do you know any single people that just always complains that they can't find a person?
Absolutely.
I know both. I know girls that complain that they can't get a guy, and guy. Some of them, and all different races.
Yeah.
Some of them are actually attractive. Some of them are not.
Yeah.
And so it varies, but the stories are the same. And it's like people always complain like I can't find someone that likes me for me.
Yeah.
Well, you got to get past that other stuff first.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so, but I think people don't think that way. They just think if it's not instant, then it must not be there.
And they're looking in the exact same place. The same exact same place.
They're going to the same bars.
Yeah, the exact same place.
Dating the friend of the person that they didn't work out with.
I can't find nobody here. Let me come back tomorrow.
I don't want to like not relate, but here's the thing, and I mean this in a humble way. I have never in my life felt like, and I earlier told you like my high school life was way different than yours. Yeah. I've never in my life felt, damn, like first of all, I never felt like I need to have someone, and I've also never felt like it's never going to happen for me. If I've talked to a girl that I really, really liked and it didn't work out, I always, even though I took my time to be sad about it, whatever, I always knew like there's more in the world for me. So I don't understand that, but I understand it more traveling. Like when we travel and go places, I'm like, dude, there's so many people in the world, so like everywhere. To get caught up in one thing and one, like it's just, I don't understand it, man.
Just people. People sometimes they just always look at the negative side of things. It's always like it's always a can't or it's me or it's something that they're not willing to give it a shot because they're so afraid of failing. I think that's where it's just more deeper than that. I think they're just afraid of like going out there, meeting someone, and then giving them the opportunity to getting to be part of their lives. And then how about if it fails? So it's like it's not necessarily that they don't find no one. I think they're just afraid of finding that person.
So you think it's like the fear of failure that they don't really give it an effort?
Exactly. Yeah. But you never know. Sense. Like with my relationship that I have right now, it was something that it was completely unexpected. It was a complete curveball. Yeah. I don't know if you know the whole story behind it.
Nope.
I was working for a different company before this company I'm working for now. And I remember,
I'm going to refill my water while you're telling the story.
Yeah. I was working for, I'm going to say the name of it. I was working for Bank of America. I was helping a client, which tend to be Jen's auntie. So, we were talking, and she's one of those people that pretty much give you, I don't know if you ever had a conversation with someone, you meet someone and they just give you that feel like, hey, I can talk to this person. Like, you can open up to someone like this. I don't know. Like, she just gave me that.
Like, you felt that right away?
Yeah, like that vibe. Like,
did she go into the bank? Is that what happened?
No, it's the first. Yeah, she went into the bank. She's the first time I helped her ever in this bank. And as we were talking, I was dating a girl at this time, and I was telling her, I was opening up to her, talking about my personal life, and I'm like, why am I even telling?
But you were doing this while you were dating a different girl?
Yes.
So this goes back to your history that you're talking about. Do you think that was like part of it was like still like there?
Well, Jen's aunt was the one that came in, not Jen specifically. So she came into the bank, and then I was opening up to her as far as like
the aunt.
Yeah.
Got you. Sorry.
The problems that I was having with that girl at that time.
Oh, okay. This makes way more sense. I got you.
So she was like, you know what? Like, I completely understand. I wish you the best of luck. Yada yada. Whatever. We dropped it. We finished our transaction. She went home. And next day, I worked next day. And I remember her walking in the office, and our offices had glass doors, right? So you could see every client that walked in, and my office was exactly the first one. So as soon as she walked in, she waved, and then she gave me like the sign, like, I need to see you kind of thing, I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I fucked up her relationship, her transaction, or whatever the case may be. So I was like, okay, I'll be right with you. I finished what I was doing. I went and grabbed her. I helped her out. And she's like, can I ask you something personal? So my first thought was like, man, I hope this lady's not asking me like to go out or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, that was my first thing. And she's like, you know what? Like, I was thinking about you. I talked to my niece, and she's going almost through a certain relationship. I don't know if you ever met Jen's ex, But
I don't think so, because this is an ex from Dallas, right?
This is the ex from here.
From here?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've met any of her exes, by the way. Yeah.
So yeah, she was going through some difficult times as well. She's like, hey, you should meet her. You guys should probably talk and give each other advice or whatever the case may be. And I was like, I mean, sure. Like, what do I lose with getting some advice from someone? And yeah, as a joke, I said, well, is she cute? You know, like
Nancy was the love connection, man.
As a joke, I said that, and she showed me a picture of Jen, and I was like, man, she's gorgeous. So yeah, I was like,
what if she wasn't cute though? What if it was like,
I probably, to be 100% honest with you, I probably would never texted her.
What if it you ruined my scenario? I thought you were gonna say yes.
I probably would have never texted her, honestly.
No, if it was like some like just like weird, like
I'm being 100% real right now.
If you're like, oh, that sounds cool, let me see a picture, and you'd be like, no, I'm good. Like if it was an ugly girl.
No, I probably would have followed through with the conversation with her, but I wouldn't follow through with the texting part of it.
I got you.
Like, honestly, I would have never reached out. Just me being real. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad she came in. I feel like everything in life happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And people, I'm gonna use Scott again. He puts people in your life in different places. My beliefs, right? That might change your life wherever, and I feel like that at that exact moment, it was my call to make a change in my life.
Yeah.
And Jen will always tell you like that's just how she is, and her aunt, that's just the way she is.
Really.
And yeah, I'm glad that she did.
She should start a company where she gets people
Cupid,
to meet.
Cupid,
The flaunt your aunt.
Right. Yeah.
You like show.
Yeah. Show up all red with a.
She'll be like the love connection.
Yeah, but
no, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
And so you text her, and then what happened from there?
So I texted her. I said, "Look, I don't want for you to think I'm freaking creep or anything like that. Like, this is how it happened. I hope that she's not lying to me." She said that you're aware that I'm going to text you, so I want to let you know.
Yeah.
This is what happened. Is that okay with you?
And then what she said?
And she said, "LOL. Oh my God, my aunt is crazy." Yes, you can text me.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, and then she asked me for a picture. I sent her a picture, and ever since then, she fell in love.
So what? Damn, bro. I love the confidence.
I looked at the camera there.
Yeah, you're on hope.
No, I mean,
how did it end with the other girl?
A lot of stuff happened.
Okay.
So
you don't have to give any details that you don't want to.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So Jen knows all about it. Pretty much at that point, what happened was I started talking to Jen. Mm-hmm. It was a connection of pretty much since day one. I have never been. It's almost like a love story, you know. Like, I never been on the phone talking on the phone for hours, and she had that thing. Like, I just didn't want to hang up. Like, let's just keep talking and talking and talking. And I don't think like there was once in a conversation that we gave each other advice about the relationships that we were going through.
You guys forgot about that part?
We completely forgot about it. Completely forgot about it. We started to get to know each other at a different level. I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, I really enjoy this conversation. I really enjoy talking to you.
Yeah.
How about if we finally meet face to face? She's like, I don't go out there to, like, I think she said probably Christmas, something like that. And it was we started talking in September.
So she was living here when you talked to her?
She was living here.
Wait, all right. So fill in a blank for me. So the aunt lived in Dallas.
The aunt lived in Dallas.
Okay. That's what I was confused about.
Yeah.
Because you know what's funny is I think I remember, I don't pay attention to stuff. I'm better now. But I think Laura at one point told me, like, hey, I think Jen's talking to this person who's in Dallas.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of knew about you before. I think she may have even showed a picture. I know she really liked you. Mm-hmm. But I remember, like, sideways hearing the story.
Yeah.
So later on, whenever you guys end up being together, I think Laura's like, remember?
Right.
Like, and I'm like, I guess. Like, because I just, like, don't really remember. Sure. So, like, I guess I kind of remember, like, that part of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool how that works out, man. It's cool how, like, it's weird. Like, people, but see, you weren't looking for anything. That's a perfect example from what we're talking about. Like, you can't go around, like, follow, like, the moments. Exactly. Moments are powerful, man. You forget to be in them. But I think also there's something bad that happens. Is sometimes it works out, which is why people do it so much. But there's something bad that happens when you go out to find someone. And I can only speak as a man. I don't know how women feel that are going out to find a guy. But I know as men, because I have plenty of friends that do this, I think I've done it before too. But like where you go out specifically to meet someone. And with guys, it's mostly to hook up. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the guy that's like, I'm going to go out and meet my girl. Mm-hmm. It never ends well.
It never ends
you end up searching. I have a buddy, damn it, I really want to say his name, but he might be on here one day. I'll let him say his own name. But he is the pickiest guy I've ever seen in my life. Like, both when it comes to hooking up with a girl, and he literally told me he has it like written down in his phone, the kind of girl he wants to be with.
Oh, hell no.
And he was like, she's got to be this, she's got to have a savings. That's crazy, dude. He literally knows exactly what he wants in a girl.
Yeah.
And this was like 8 or 9 years ago that he was telling me this. Still single. And I'm like, I hope he's not looking at that list every time he meets a girl. But that's how crazy it is. I'm like, you realize you're never going to find these things. Like, you might find one and then not the other. Like, it's never going to add up.
It's never going to happen. If you have so high standards, you're never going to find that person. The only way you're going to do it, if you freaking put it on your computer and just make it your own.
Even then,
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It may not happen.
It's not going to. I don't think you're ever going to find the perfect person.
Never. Well, because what is the perfect person?
There's no perfect person. Who is it to tell that person?
I guess the perfect person is the one that you end up with for a very long time. But you don't really know they're the perfect person until it's all said and done. Like, you can't predict the you know what I mean?
What is it, perfect?
No, it's not. That's what makes it perfect, right?
Yeah.
If you're thinking like a poet,
right?
Like perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
I think that's what people really mean when they say that. But I think the first thing people say when they talk about it isn't, I want someone perfect. They typically will say, like, it's okay if they do this. I think what it is people don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And so it's like, there's this thing that people do, and I'll speak from experience. You forget to work with the person you're with. And I'm learning this in my relationship, right? This is the least common it's ever been in my relationship now. But it's part of life. It's part of being in a relationship. But people will do this thing where it's like, they forget, they think that this is the way I am and someone's going to love me just the way I am. Mm-hmm. No, that's not how it works. You're going to have to change some shit. You cannot be that stubborn. Like, here's what you should do, right? And this is my stupid advice. Take it or leave it for whoever's listening. Figure out what your core values are. Right. All right, these are my no's. I'm not going to date a liar or a cheater, right? I'm not going to date someone who, whatever. And it's got to be your core things. And they got to be big. Right. It can't be like, I'm not going to date girls with dark hair.
Brown eyes,
It's
right?
stupid, yeah. I'm talking about, like, who are you as a person, right? These are the things that I just won't tolerate, right? And then from there, you figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm single and I have these things, right? I meet someone and maybe I personally, like, I've almost exclusively dated Hispanic girls. I dated one white girl once. That was weird. I dated a black girl once. That was kind of cool. That was like in middle school, so I wasn't really dating.
Yeah.
And I've dated some mixed people, but almost all Hispanics, right? So let's just say that was my thing, right? Yeah. Let's say I'm single and I'm like, oh, I only date Hispanics. I might miss out on a really cool white girl or a really cool black girl or a really cool, like, Asian girl, whoever it is, because I'm just going to stick in my ways.
Exactly.
The point of it is to meet someone, figure out what you can deal with, and then be honest with yourself if you can't. But, like, if I'm dating someone and they're into something that I'm not, I think I might try to like that thing. And then if I can, I might tell them, and maybe they can get over the fact that I don't like it. Right. But you kind of got to work together. You can't be like, you're done. Like, no. Yeah. Like, you're out. Yeah. I didn't know you were like that.
Yeah.
And so I think people date people, and when things come up later on, because nobody's honest on the first date, it's a deal breaker. And they're trying to figure out why they wasted the last 6 months trying to figure this person out.
Absolutely. I think, like, it's like, as far as, like, my list of what I was looking for growing up, I wanted somebody that was athletic, somebody that played basketball, some kind of sports, right? But I'm a big basketball fan. Some girl that played basketball, at least 5'6", 5'5", 5'6", brunettes. I was crazy with by brunettes. Puerto Rican. She had to be Puerto Rican.
This is like your younger must-haves.
Like and ain't nowhere Jenny's not even close to any of that list. The only thing that she has going for herself is that she's Hispanic. And outside of that,
she's
like,
pretty short, huh?
She's 4'11".
Damn, she's gonna be so mad that you said
4'11".
that. She's like, no, I'm like 5 foot.
No, she actually,
I'm like 4 foot 16 inches.
She might say she's 4'11 and a half. That's what she might say. But she's actually very honest about her height. I remember when I first saw her, like, to this day, man, like, the first thing that I loved about her, when I first saw her, she had her back towards me. And I was so nervous because, we'll finish my story about that, right? So,
sorry.
She said she was going to come back in December, like, to Dallas to go visit her aunt. And I was like, man, I can't wait that long. So I call her aunt. I'm like, hey, can we fly her out here sooner? Because I want to meet her. She's like, yeah, what do you want to do? I said, well, how about if I pay for half of the flight and you pay for the other half? At that point, I was single, an apartment, broke as hell.
Yeah. So you were going out of your way to make the half happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, let's do it. So I was like, all right, great.
Wait,
so,
am I missing something here? What happened with the other girl?
Wait
Okay.
Wait a minute.
I want to know the climax, man. All right.
So at this point, me and this girl, like, we are completely, like, we are not talking.
Are you living together?
Not anymore. She moved out.
Okay.
So I had the apartment all by myself. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a shot. Actually, we moved out. Like, we completely gave back that apartment that we were in.
Mm-hmm.
She moved out. I had my roommate. Shout out to Mike. That's my buddy and my brother. And yeah, so at that point, I was like, let's do it. Let me meet this girl. And she came in and we met at Chipotle for the first time. Chipotle was right in front of my...
So romantic.
Yeah. For the right in front of my job. It was a surprise because she didn't know that she was gonna meet me yet. It was a surprise.
So you and the aunt schemed. Dude, this has to be the coolest aunt I've ever heard of.
Absolutely.
My aunt doesn't do any of those things.
Absolutely. So she's like, we're gonna have lunch at Chipotle, and I was like, perfect. Chipotle is right across the street. And she's like, yeah, so we're gonna be there around this time, so just be there. So like, cool.
And she knows what you look like because you guys have like exchanged photos, right? All right.
So yeah, so her aunt went in. I was nervous as heck. And then at that point, they walked in. The first thing I saw was her back towards me because I didn't see her walking in. Mm-hmm. But she texted me, I'm here. So when I looked back, I saw her. And I'm like, her hair, like to this point, I still remember her hair. It just almost like, she knows how much I love her hair.
Yeah.
Like it just looked gorgeous, like perfectly done. Everything was perfect. Then she turned around and I was like, dude, all right, I like this girl.
What if you got catfished?
I know, like, right? It's like, yeah, no, thank you.
She's like, hola, yeah. She's all like one eye's like floating in a circle.
Yeah, it's like, here, eat my burrito.
I love how you tell this like really cool story, but in my head I'm picturing like the catfish version.
Right.
She's like, hola, I came down here to meet you. It's like pudding in her teeth.
That would have been funnier. Actually, that would have been a better story. But no, we met, man, and we clicked. We clicked from day one. She would still tell you to this day I broke her heart because at this point I was still kind of, my feelings weren't all in. Mm-hmm. You know, I was still have feeling for my ex. Oops, sorry. I have feeling for my ex. I had, you know, some kind of attraction towards her. Uh-huh. And yeah, we hung out. We kissed the first day we met. I went for it. It was me. Yes, it was me. And then we hung out. We had a great time. We went out dancing. We had a beautiful night. Then after that, you know, I feel like she wanted to take things to the next level. At that point, I wasn't ready yet because I still have feelings towards my ex at that moment. Yeah. And I knew she, to this day, she would still tell you broke my heart. You broke my heart. But I'm glad that I finished everything, ended up everything with my ex. At that point, I realized what I had over here. Yeah. Somebody that was willing to do everything to pretty much just please me. And I didn't have that with the person I was dating at that point. Yeah. So I told her, like, it was the night, and I was like, dude, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't. Like, you need to get out. So she left. Like, I completely wiped her out of my life. Like, she's done. And I called Jen that same night, and she still remembers because she was on a date with some guy at a UFC fight.
What?
Yeah.
In Dallas, or is this here?
She was back out here already.
Wait, there's a UFC fight here?
Apparently so, somewhere out here.
Oh, it's probably an MMA fight. Oh, not like UFC.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a local MMA fight. I'm assuming.
Probably something like that.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah, and then I told her I would just express my whole feelings. I'm like, I fucked up. Like, this is what I want to do. I know that I missed.
Did she tell you like, hey, I'm on a date with this guy right now?
No, she didn't. I found out afterwards. After she pretty much told me, like, I left my date to talk to you. So
like, she like called you or text you?
I called her.
Oh,
I called her. She answered the phone and she walked out of the building, and we were on the phone for a little while because I was like expressing my feelings. I'm like, look, just listen. Like, just shut up and listen. So I pretty much just split it all out, and she was like, all right, so what do you want to do from here? And she told me, I don't know how true this is, but she told me that once she went back in, because the dude was looking for her because she was out, you know, for a long time. Mm-hmm. And once the dude saw her, she told him, like, it was him, like, it was me. Yeah. And he was like, oh, okay. And she's like, he's like, what do you want to do? And I think she said like we gotta get back together. Like I can't do this.
Like to that guy.
Yeah, to that guy. So pretty much like she broke everything off with him. Whatever it would have been that they had, I don't think they ever had anything.
So when you guys first got together, you weren't even in the same city. So did you guys date long distance for a while?
No, when we made it official was when she actually moved out there, because she moved out there with her sister. Her sister used to live out there for a little while. When we first made it official, I still said that she moved out there for me because of me. She says no. She said that she moved out there because she was looking for a better opportunity, better life. And
she liked Chipotle. That's what it was.
Exactly.
We didn't have one here yet.
Yeah. And her sister used to live out there, so she always tells you like it wasn't because of you. She always tells me that it wasn't because of you. I was over there because of my sister, and I was over there because I wanted to find a better life. And I mean, she moved out there, I think April the 17th, and we started dating April the 27th. So I gave her 10 days to figure her shit out, and it's like, all right, we gotta make.
You guys have been together ever since, man.
Ever since then, man. So and again, it goes back to like I wasn't looking for anyone; it just kind of happened. And it just things happen when you least expect it.
And it's never like a storybook story like you see in the movie. I think people always think that there's this grand gesture and there was this build up, and he always loved me the whole time, or something, or she always did, whatever it is. It's just not how it works, man. These are real life stories, and like the way it goes, and you can't. In that story, off what we're talking about, there are several opportunities where if you were picky, you could be like, nah, I'm out. She's on a date with some dude. And she could have done the same. Oh, he's not over his ex yet? Like, what am I even wasting my time for? And so it's like we have opportunities, right? And the whole point of that is, what am I willing to work with?
Absolutely.
And sometimes when you work through shit, it ends up way better than it was if it had never existed, man. But that's the whole struggle thing. I think that people in general forget to struggle. I think we live in this bubbly world where it's like I go to work here, and I drive here, and I drive home, and that's I'm safe.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to, you know what I mean? It's like I don't want to do anything that's risky. I don't want to do anything that makes me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. If I don't know how to swim, then I'm not going to swim. I mean, well, why not? Why don't you do the things that make you feel uncomfortable? Right. Because there's a reason it makes you feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. The uncomfortable things in life are the only ways to grow. You don't grow from doing things you're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
And there's some cool feeling that you get when you struggle a lot and then you overcome it. Oh my God, man, that's a high in itself, man. Like I love that feeling. And then trying to replicate that feeling is so hard. I do it at the gym. Like if I know I can do something, I hang out, I work out. I've worked out twice with my buddy Lloyd. You know, have you met Lloyd?
I don't.
He's a big guy, man. He lifts a lot.
Was he at your birthday thing?
Yeah, he was.
I might have seen him.
Yeah, so he works out a lot, big, strong guy. And so when I work out, I like to think I work out pretty hard. And so like when I went with him, there's just something natural. Like when you're with someone that's bigger, that's working out hard, you're like, oh man, like you just work out harder and it's difficult and it's really hard. And I don't want to ever tell him that it's hard. So I'm just trying to like not make a face like it's good. But at the end of it, man, I feel really good about myself. I feel good. It makes me realize like, oh, like I have way more in the tank. Like I thought I was giving things my all here. But I'm not. Like, there's way more there. Right. But I never would have understood that if I didn't push myself to get to that level. In this case, it took having someone else there. But people, I think, fear that, and so they don't like to put themselves in positions to do things that are uncomfortable.
Right.
But I love it, man. I'll always do uncomfortable things. I probably should do it more.
Yeah.
But I think those make the best stories, and then at the end of it, you come out thinking like you grew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you 100%. When I first moved to Dallas from Puerto Rico, I pretty much had nothing, man. Listening to myself now talking, you never told me I had an accent.
I actually did tell you had an accent because when I first met you, I didn't notice you had an accent either, remember? Yeah. And then like, I think Jen said something, and then Laura's like, yeah, his accent. And I'm like, you guys are tripping. Like, that guy talks like normal.
Yeah.
And I think the first 2 times I hung out with you, I don't know if you're soft spoken, or maybe we're in a crowded place both times. We're at a restaurant. But I never noticed it. And then later on, we're hanging out. I'm like, oh, he does. Yeah. He does have a little bit of an accent.
I'm very soft-spoken, and that's something that biggest Jen's pet peeve. I'm like, dude, like, just speak up. I'm like, that's my voice.
Are you soft-spoken with everyone?
Everyone.
Really?
My job, everything. Everyone I talk to, this is my voice. Like, this is my tone. Like, it's not like I'm intimidated by anyone. It's just who I am.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. It's the opposite with me. I'm, like, super outspoken. Yeah. And so it comes off as like arrogance or those things that you just talked about, right? And so it's like I try to hone it in a little bit, but at the end of the day, this is how I talk, man. Yeah. And I had I'm from Louisiana, and I had like a southern people in Louisiana talk out of the side of their mouths a lot, and so I used to do that a lot as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing myself recorded, I still do it a little bit. But like how you were saying, like I don't know that I do it,
right?
Because when I hear myself, I hear it differently than when I hear myself normal. And so when I watch back some of the podcasts, I'm like, why did I say? Like I say water instead of water. I said water. It's like it's just like the way I push words out sometimes.
More water.
Drink some water. I'll take a water and like I'll just like, especially when I'm drinking alcohol, it'll come out more. And Laura always points it out, and so I'm like But like when I was young, when I first moved here, being a predominantly Hispanic community, they're like, what's up with this weird white dude that talks at the side? Like to them, I was just like the weirdest kid in the world. I was like an exchange student to them, and so like it went away after a while, but it'll creep out.
Yeah. No, but just to talk back about the struggles and how you become stronger, you're pretty much just fighting going through the fear in life of failing. I moved to Dallas with nothing, man. Like my English wasn't good. Had no money, no job.
Mm-hmm.
Really just there was that fear of failing. Like what if I don't make it? But that's really what made me stronger, honestly. Just knowing that I my mentality always been the Mamba mentality. You know what I mean? Like
there you go.
Yeah, I gotta throw it out there. Mamba for
shout out Kobe.
Shout out Kobe. Rest in peace, my man. So I always knew that I have something special, and there's nothing in life that you can't set yourself to do and not do it. There's not a barrier that you can't jump over.
Do you find yourself? I was talking about this today because and I don't want to cut you off, man, but it's off the same thing because I go to counseling and I had a counseling session today, and I've been feeling kind of off about stuff. And like one of the things that I do is I feel this constant need to grow, even at things that I might not need to grow at. And I don't like saying it out loud like that because I think we should all grow at everything at all times, right? But I'll give you an example. I started school back in January, on January 13th. So I'm on week 4 of school, right? I hate math. One of my classes is math, and it drives me crazy. And so it's like, essentially, I have to do 10 courses a week in a week 4. So I'm 30 to 40 courses in, plus quizzes each week, plus discussions. So I've done a lot of homework, a lot of different things I've been graded for. I have 100% in that class, and I have 100% in my social work class. I don't feel the way that my grades represent. And so it's like, I beat myself up about it. And what I mean by it, because I don't want to I want to be honest about this. I know there's a difference between a smart person, this is my definition, and someone who works really hard. I don't think I'm a smart person. I think I work really hard. And so it's like the time that it took me to do those math problems, the only reason I have 100% is because I didn't know the answer and I refused to put the wrong answer. And so I did I checked my answer, double checked my answer. I did it again. I looked it up online. Like, you know what I mean? I went out of my way to watch YouTube videos on how to do it right. And so it took me forever. So I ended up getting, I have 100% because I work really hard, but I don't think that I know it. And so the other night I came out and I told Laura, I'm like, hey, I got another 100%, but I really struggled. She's like, what? She high-fived me, that's cool. And I'm like, no, it's not cool. I'm not doing good in my class. And so I'm struggling personally with that feeling of I think that it's cool to be motivated and to work hard at stuff, but I do think there's a limit that I think I'm kind of at right now where I feel burnt out. I feel like I'm never really going to get there. I talked about this on a previous podcast when it came to weight loss. My best shape and my worst shape that I've ever been in my life felt kind of the same, which is that I wanted more. And so it's I'm starting to realize this just may be my life, but that's okay. I'm starting to learn maybe I need to accept that I'm always going to want more, take a brief moment to find peace of where I'm at. But what do you think? Do you think that it's healthy? We'll use me as an example. That way people don't have their goddamn opinions and we talk about something. What do you think, man? What do you think that comes from? Do you think that's healthy? And can you relate at all?
I'm pretty much right in between. I'm half. I agree with you in some aspects of it, but I'm also gonna disagree with you in the fact that it's okay for you to want more in life. It's okay for you feel like you're not 100% satisfied with where you're at in life right now. Because it's good for you to want more. Somebody that is always satisfied with where they're at, that's the people that never want to get better or go somewhere else in life. I want more in my life. I want more out of my life. Memories are worth more than money. Plain
100%.
plain and simple. You only got one life to live. Why not dream big? Why not go after those dreams and those goals that you have? If you feel like you're working a lot harder to get those grades that you have, and you don't feel like you're smart enough, then so be it. So be it. That's what's gonna get you the 100% grade.
Good point.
You still gotta get to that 100%. I feel like I'm not very. I feel like I'm smartish, right? I don't feel like I'm very, very smart. So I pretty much agree with you to that level. I feel like I work a lot harder than anybody else to be as successful as I am today in my jobs and my relationships and everything that I do good, right? I learn from my mistakes and I try to do better next time. I don't think I'm very, very, very smart, right? I just
What if that is smart though? I guess as I'm talking to you about this, I'm starting to realize, what do you think there is? Because we both just admitted the same thing.
Right.
Hey, I don't know if I consider myself this. I know I work really hard at it. Do you think there is a person out there that's like, this is cake, man? Like, I haven't worked in years. Like, I'm just smart.
Well, there's some,
because maybe that person doesn't exist,
right,
and we just think they do.
There's some naturally smart people.
But are they naturally smart because they worked really hard to get there, or are they naturally like they just woke up smart?
That's a very good question. I feel like the brain is something. It's a muscle that you have to train and teach and grow and develop. So I don't think they just grow up one day from one day to another to just be 100% smart. But even as kids, you have kids that are so advanced at the same age. So you have kids at 3 years old that are writing, talking, and all this stuff, and you got kids that are delayed, right? So I don't think the kid's is smarter than the other kid. I just feel like the brain is just more developed than the other kid's brain.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's just I just feel like it's just the way that you train yourself. Everything that we do is based on learning experiences.
Yeah.
How much you train, how much you teach yourself, and how much life experience you go through. I don't know if anybody is smarter than anybody else. I feel like these people that are smarter, or are further in life. I'm not gonna say smarter. I'm gonna use the word further in life than we are. Is because probably they put a little bit more effort to learning or getting to that level.
Yeah, I think that, like, what if we took someone like Elon Musk, the person who has Tesla, right? Who's not the smartest person in the world, but one of the people right now. He makes rockets. He's building tunnels under LA. He has the Tesla cars. This guy, to me, is super smart. But what if we took him and put him in a neighborhood project, a social work one, where he had to help the homeless people figure out how to get jobs?
Right.
Like, maybe he sucks at that because he doesn't know what it's like to be homeless.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, I guess, like, again, I'm glad that we're talking about this because it's making me realize that maybe my definition of smart is just not right.
Right.
Because I'm thinking of a smart person, someone that's conquered something. I guess in my head, I assume that smart people do what I'm trying to do faster. Like, because I really compare the time. We both got hundreds, right? Maybe me and another classmate both got 100 on one thing, but maybe they got 100 and they finished the whole thing in 8 minutes, and it took me like an hour and a half.
Right.
So in my head, I go, were those smarter because they did it faster? And I think that comes from watching game shows and, like, you know what I mean? Like, whoever did the most in the fastest time.
Are you smarter than the 5th grader?
Yes. No, the answer is no, I'm not. But yes, that's what I'm talking about. No, but it's like that vibe, you know what I mean? So I'm starting to realize that maybe my mentality isn't right about what a smart person is. I think we're all smart, or we have the opportunity to be smart or an expert at our field. Yeah. Like, I would hope that if someone's going through something that I work and get certifications in and I train in and do all that stuff to become an expert, I would hope that someone seeks my opinion on that thing because maybe I am smart about that thing.
Yeah, I feel like the definition of somebody smart is somebody that has the capability and ability to use their brain, put it into work, and make something out of it.
Yeah.
So somebody that is not capable, like somebody with a disability that is not capable to use their brain, at that point, this person is not smart because he doesn't have the capability of.
Well, some people with disabilities are super smart at other things.
And other things.
Yeah.
Because it's the things that they practice and they know.
It's almost like a guy that goes blind becomes a really good listener.
Or singer.
Yeah, or something, right?
Yeah,
like with your other senses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I think I need to, like, let go a little bit of the expectation I have on myself. I feel it's a good thing. Kind of like what you were saying. Dude, I do it with the podcast where I'm like, all right, I don't ever put one out and it does well and I'm like, I'm cool with that.
Right.
No, I'm like, what can I do better? Vice versa, if it does really bad, I don't beat myself up about it. I'm like, well, what can I do better?
Right.
so it's beneficial in some ways, and so it's gotten to me where I'm at. Dude,
Yeah.
I came from like nothing, bro. I grew up like homeless. Like people don't really understand how I grew up, and I can only talk about it so many times, and they still probably won't fully understand. But it's like a place where it's like I worked and worked and worked. Even as a kid, when you're not supposed to be working, you're supposed to just be a kid, and your parents are supposed to work.
Right.
They didn't do that,
Yeah.
and so I had to like grow up quick and then work more. And so now that's just who I am.
Yeah.
And so it's like if I am not doing good at something, I always beat myself up like, well, you just didn't work that hard. And so I think I just need to balance it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people beat themselves up for things that you feel like you're struggling, or you live a hard life growing up, and maybe that's why you don't have the same I guess things in life that other people have. But you don't understand, man. There's people out there that grew up having a more fucked up life than you did. Harder life than you did. So I can't complain about the life that I live. I feel like we live in a poor neighborhood. I feel like and slowly we were able to get to the point that we got back home in Puerto Rico. I saw a lot of struggles, a lot of tears, a lot of fights between my parents. But they got to that point. Then after my dad started like doing the things that he did, the divorce happened, and then we went back down to that same level that we were in when we started. I grew up, or when I moved out to Dallas, I didn't have the things that I have today, especially having to learn English. Fuck English. It's so freaking hard.
That's kind of cool that you speak two languages, though. I think people forget that, like how hard that, like that's crazy.
English language is the most difficult language ever in the world. So having to learn English, having to find a job that would give me the opportunity with a little bit of English that I spoke at that time.
Yeah.
And just being able to make decent money for me to be able to get a car, apartment. And then my credit was fucked up as well. So having to deal with that.
Yeah.
My first car I was paying probably like 22% interest on
Really?
a 2004 Ford Explorer that I used to drive.
Some people can't even get approved.
Yeah. Actually, I went through drive time because I saw in the commercial that approve everyone. What I didn't realize is like you're approving rate.
Yeah. They're giving you a terrible rate.
Yeah.
And they're stretching it out to where you're never going to pay that car off.
Exactly. Yeah, you're going to pay this car off in about 25 years. It's in 2004.
Yeah.
So take care of it.
You'll probably get in an accident before then.
Yeah.
So we'll just like, charge you all the money when that happens.
Yeah. Just make sure you get gap insurance. So, yeah, and then you start complaining or reflecting back on life, man, and it's like, I'm good. Like, I was able to go through that. Like, what else can, like, there's not going to be another challenge in life that I'm not going to be able to go through.
Do you ever find yourself forgetting where you came from? Like, is there ever a moment where you, like, start complaining about something?
Never.
And then you're like, oh, Jesus, never mind.
Never.
No?
Never. I always carry that weight on me.
So you remember it?
I always know exactly where I come from. I know who I represent. Something you gotta learn from Puerto Rican people is that we are very prideful people.
Yeah.
We carry our flag on our backs everywhere we go. And that's something that I will never forget where I come from. I will never forget the people that I represent. And I never want to go back to feeling that way. Yeah. So that's why I push and I wake up every morning, and if I don't feel like going into work, or if I hate my job because whatever happened the day prior to that, I need to understand, like, man, I have a job. Man, I'm making money.
Yeah, some people don't have that.
I have health. Like, why am I crying? Like, get your ass up, get in the fucking car, go to work, do whatever you can do, make the best out of it, come home. Yeah. And when I come home, and my beautiful family is waiting on me. What else can I ask about?
You have a new home too, which is really cool. That's something I hope to get soon too.
Thank you, man, and I hope to see you guys there too.
Yeah, you guys have a beautiful home, and I feel like, does it feel like, I asked you this like whenever we went over the other day, but do you feel like does it feel like a fresh start? Does it feel new? Like, how does it feel to be a homeowner?
Yeah, it definitely feels like a fresh start for sure. Especially through the difficult times that I went through at the end of last year, losing 2 jobs back to back. So it definitely feels like everything is getting back into place. You know, everything is back where it needs to be. So it definitely feels like everything is getting back to normal. And as soon as I walk into the house, it just feels like home. Like, yeah, this is it's all worth it.
This is mine. Like, this is my thing.
It's so worth it, man. It's definitely all the sacrifices, all the tears, all the hard work, and just the time away from your family. Whenever you get to that point, it's worth it.
What advice would you give to someone that maybe doesn't have anything going for them right now. And let's say it's a person that's maybe had an apartment, non-successful relationships, changes jobs like every 6 months, and they feel like this is just my life now.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think got you out of that place, and what advice would you give someone that's there now?
I feel like your whole mentality has to change. You have to create a plan. You have to have some sort of dream, because if you live in life just day at a time, you never know what's gonna happen next day. You have to have some kind of plan, and you have to stick to your action plan. If you don't stick to your action plan, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to happen. So you have to understand that within that plan, it's not gonna hit. It's not gonna work.
Let's move this a little bit more.
Yep.
You're good.
There we go. It's not gonna be 100% the way that you're gonna have that plan work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work exactly how you have it in mind. But you need to understand that once those barriers come into place, once those challenges come into place, you can't let that stop you from reaching your goal. That's just a learning experience, and you have to jump over that hurdle and get to the point that you want to get. Like, just plain and simple. Like, you have to have that mentality where you want to win. You can't just let something negative just affect your life forever. So,
yeah, I think people, and I'm guilty of this, man. The reason why I asked you that question specifically is I wanted to see what kind of things, like, because it's weird. We were both in similar positions, but we probably both had different mindsets, but probably similar if we really broke it down and like how to get out of it. I remember being that person, and I always think like, because I get asked a lot in the job that I work at. I work with people in recovery. I work with people that maybe or have some sort of barrier. This isn't just people struggling with substance abuse. This may be someone that's struggling with mental health, which a lot of times gets confused. Someone meets someone that has maybe schizophrenia or personality disorder, and they go, oh, that dude's methed out. You know what I mean? Because there's so much correlation between the two, people seem to judge a lot. Maybe people don't realize, like, it may not be drugs at all, or if it is drugs, it's probably also coupled with some sort of, like, disability, right? Yeah. And so people will always ask me for, like, opinions on stuff, and so I have to be aware of the advice that I give. And so I like to reflect on what happened to me. I get asked all the time, specifically from people that knew me when I was younger. Like, what did you do differently? Like, how did you... My foster family asked me a lot because they train other foster parents. Hey, what advice can we give these foster parents because you were successful? And I was like, first of all, like, I'm not that successful. I'm in the process of becoming successful. Successful isn't a thing that you achieve and you just got it. Yep. Like, you have to maintain it. You know what I mean? It's like a popularity. You don't just get it and you're there. You have to maintain it. You have to nurture it. You have to do things, right? And so I was just pretty much... I like to reflect on myself and what happened for me. And then I never have an answer. And I don't know if I do now, but I do know that if I were to give advice to someone that's like, hey, I'm just kind of stuck and I'm down. Like, what do I do to get out of this place? You almost said it exactly. Well, earlier you touched on it real quick, which is you got to have a goal and you have to have a purpose and you have to want something more than you want the thing you're doing now. And if it's, let's say it is drugs and you're using meth. If someone using meth asks, like, how do I get off this? You got to want something more than you want meth. I'm not saying to get rid of that. I think people make the mistake and they go, you just stop doing it. That's all you got to do, bro. Just stop.
Yeah, it's that easy. Just like
if you just stop doing it. Like, all right, we fucking know, dude. Like, that's how they feel. And so I never tell them that. I'm like, dude, like, that's part of you. You're always going to be dealing with that. Put that on the back burner real quick because it's not going to go away. What do you want more than that? Literally in the moment where you go, hey, and let's use something a little bit more common like alcohol. Someone that's trying to get over using alcohol. What do I do? I'm like craving a drink. Well, what do you want? Nothing? Just the alcohol? Well, you're going to go find alcohol eventually. Maybe I give you some cool reason to not drink alcohol right now. Right. But you're probably going to get it tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, whenever it's convenient. So if you're really thinking long term, want something more than alcohol. What do I enjoy? You know what I mean? Maybe it's maybe I join an MMA gym and I find really good pride in jiu-jitsu and I now want to do jiu-jitsu and it's really hard to do jiu-jitsu when I'm wasted. Right. So now I want this more than I want to get wasted and so I'm going to put my alcohol on the side and prioritize this. Yeah. Maybe it still exists. Yeah. Maybe I get wasted on the weekends. But I now have this thing that I want more than I want drinking. That's how it starts. And it could be anything, whatever, whether it's a substance, whether it's a terrible like habit that you have, it's gambling, maybe it's dating multiple women, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is that you're trying to change and you're like, what do I do to get over this thing? Find something you want more. One of my friends told me this one time. It's what made me think of this. we were both going through breakups, and I was really into this girl, and she broke my heart, and I'm like, fuck her, like, you know what I mean? But I was, you know, when we do that as guys, like, like if she called, like, it'd be nice if she checked in. You know what I mean? I was in that phase, and then my buddy was in the same phase, like, fuck her, like, to his girl. He called me one day, and he's like, dude, I figured out how to get over, and he said her name, which I won't. And I was like, what is it? He's all, you find someone cooler. Like, you know what I mean? And he's talked about some new girl he met. And at the time, I'm like, dude, that's so genius. And then I realized later on when I grew up, like, well, he's just repeating the same pattern. But his idea was right. He was, I started, because that's just the way my mind works, right? The same thing with the math stuff I'm talking about. I was like, well, what is he saying? Because he did feel better. I saw him, like, energetically, he came out and he's like, dude, I'm good. Like, I can love again. And, like, my life's good. And, like, what made him feel that way? He liked something, in this case, a person, more than he liked the other person. And so I thought, like, well, the concept is right. I don't think you should do that. Like, what if you start finding something you love more? You know what I mean? And doing that. And if you can make that thing about you, that's even better. Or if you have kids, if you're someone out there who's like, I can't find anyone that loves me, and you have kids, I guarantee you, there's at least, if you have one kid, one person loves you. If you have two kids, two people love you. And if they don't, then your job is to love them. So I hate that. It's like, all right, if you focus on being a parent to those kids, other people will see that and you'll become attracted to them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Find those things that you like more, and the other things will just happen. So you can really apply that to almost anything.
I like that advice. I like that when you say, like, how do you do better? We'll find something that you want more. So I'm gonna take that because I really like that. I'm gonna take that and use it on my life as far as like just the way I want to. Just
let me know how it goes.
Just the way I want to do.
It crashes the birds. I'm sorry.
I might pull up with a Lambo tomorrow. It's like, fuck.
It worked, man. Turns out I want Lambos.
Fuck. I just got a Lambo. I can't fucking.
I thought I wanted Civics.
I can't pay it though. Why you told me to get more? They took my house.
You ruined my life, Will Palmer.
The fucking
Talk It Up podcast ruined my life.
No, but honestly, man, it's a good advice, honestly, to just give people, like, they're struggling, like, finding a way to just do better. It's like, what do you want more than what you're doing now? I want that brand new truck. It's like, well, work hard for it, mother. You know? Like,
or take the step to figuring out what you want more is to do something different. We talked about that earlier. If you're going to the same places, you're going to feel the same way. Go to a different place that you've never been to before. When you go to, it could be something stupid like a restaurant. If you're single and you're going to Taco Bell, don't go to the drive-thru, park, and walk inside because you might meet someone on the way inside. You're not going to have any interaction that way. You're in your stupid little car. You're going to go home to your stupid little place, play your thing by yourself, whatever you're doing.
What thing he's playing with?
His penis. No, I'm just kidding. Video games that I was thinking of. But probably his penis too. But no, that's their life. They live in a bubble. And it's like, dude, go experience stuff. And it starts off small. When you go to Walmart, when you're driving, I hate when people do this. They wait for the person to pull out. Or they drive around forever. Park far and walk inside, man. You get exercise, your blood starts flowing. By the time you get into the Walmart, maybe you run into someone and you're feeling good about yourself because you just, like, do something different. Maybe you don't do whatever it is. It could be something small, something large. Doesn't matter. If you're poor, you can do it, and if you're rich, you can do it.
Absolutely.
Do something different. Figure it out. If those things aren't cool, then do something different again.
I like that, man. I like that 100%. I'm gonna take it.
Boom.
I'm gonna take it. Let's see where it takes me.
I gotta take my own advice sometimes, man. Because I truly believe that, and that's how I've gotten over stuff. People always ask when they ask me that, like, that's my one advice that I give now. For the longest time, I wouldn't say anything because I was scared I was gonna fuck people over. But I feel confident saying that because you can really apply it how you want. But that's how I am, man. And trust me, there's never ever a time where you're just like everything's great. There's something's gonna pop up. The more healthier you feel. People, like, when they think of how they think of diet, where you have a mental diet, the shit you watch on your Facebook, online, movies, all that stuff. If you have a terrible mental diet, you're going to go out and you're going to perform badly in conversations and stuff. So if you want to be something good, then go watch things that inspire you to be that thing, man. And just open your mind up, try new things, and I don't know, man. I like to think that'll happen.
No, I really do like that. I'm going to even tell Jen tonight, as soon as I get home.
Don't even tell her, like, you got to watch the podcast when it comes out. No, you can tell.
Even better, I'm like, I want more. Put them past them.
That's funny, man. Oh man, no, it's I feel like I'm at this stage in my life, and I'll tell you about something that came up again today in counseling, which I think, by the way, everyone should do. I hate that this weird stigma about counseling. When someone says they're going to counseling, it's like, well, something's wrong with them. That's just not true. I think everyone should go to counseling, even if you're doing good, because what's wrong with reflecting with someone that isn't going to judge you? And maybe they do judge you. I'm sure they do sometimes. At least you're not going to know about it. If you're spilling all your stuff to the person in your relationship, or your mom, or your dad, or your brother, whoever it is for whoever's listening, it becomes a lot and is biased. So I would encourage everyone to see a counselor, specifically someone you don't know. It'd be weird if you went to a counselor you knew personally, but just talk to someone. So in mine, I was talking about just I talked to you a little bit about it earlier, but just understanding why I do the things I do, and I think I started realizing that there is a balance to like all this stuff. I think so. I think I tend to want more a lot, but I think I see the best in people. These are all good things, right? But they're a burden, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, those are things you want to like maybe teach your kids. These are all good things, right? You want to work hard, you want to like care about the stuff. But I also want to point out that those things can be a burden. They can be something that's bringing you down. And so I like to reflect and try to figure out what I'm doing wrong and what I can do better, and what I should just be okay with.
Yeah.
And I think there's times in my life where and I've said this recently, I truly feel this way, that I'm at a place in my life where I'm like the happiest I've ever been, but it's not the happiest I'm going to be.
Right.
Like there's a bigger happiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm comfortable with where I'm at, but I know it's going to be bigger. And so like that brings me some sort of peace.
And that comes back with wanting more.
Yeah.
I feel like, right? So Jan always told me that I should get some counseling, right? And the reason the reason behind it, I'm gonna tell you why. The reason behind it is because sometimes I tend to get a little bit hangry.
Yeah.
And I have an attitude sometimes that is really not the best one, and I came to terms with it. I completely fuck up sometimes. I blame myself for it and nobody else. And she advised me to just, because I get to this point that I'm angry and I say a lot of dumb shit that I don't mean once I calm down a little bit. So she asked me, how about if you just seek somebody to help you out with that, like whatever it is. Like it's, so I never believe, like my thought process behind it is like, you know what, I don't need to see no one. I know what I'm doing wrong. Like I just need to fix it. And I have never been a believer of counseling, but I should, because I know that it helps just talking to someone that you don't have absolutely no relationship with, expressing out your feelings and just hearing out their opinion.
And if they're stupid, which some of them are, then go to a different one. Right. Here's my advice to you. First of all, Laura recommended counseling, and I was like, same exact thing you said. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I was like, I've been in counseling my whole life. I went to counseling in foster care. It's sometimes, dude, I've had counselors where I'm like, dude, you need fucking work. Like,
you need counseling.
Yeah. And so it's like, but that's okay. They're people too, right? And so it's like, here's my advice to you: is if I think everyone, first of all, should do counseling. But if you're considering it, first of all, find a sense of pride in it because it doesn't feel good. I'll tell anyone, but it's understandable to not want to because it's easily bullied. Like people could find reasons wrong with that, right? My advice to you would be to see someone, talk to them, and if you don't like them, don't ditch counseling. Go to a new one and go do it again and again until you find one. Because I've been to counselors that are not good, and I've been to some that are like life changing. The one I'm seeing now is who I'll recommend to you, by the way, if you want to go see him. He is really, really, really good. Like probably the best one. And before him, I had a really, really good one too. And he was younger than me, and it was weird, but it was cool because we got to talk as boys. Like, but he was also my counselor. Like, he was knowledgeable about stuff. But I think people like go into it as like I'm broken and he's gonna fix me or she's gonna fix me, whoever it is. But that's just not true. Sometimes the best part of counseling is just getting to say the things that you needed to say that maybe you couldn't tell the person you're with. There's nothing wrong with that. I tell Laura all the time, hey, there's some things I can't you can't be everything because that's stressful. Like, you can't be she is my friend, my fiance, she's everything. I have a terrible relationship with my mom, so when she fills that role. I have no relationship with my dad. He passed away, and when I had him in my life. He was non-existent, and everything. Like I don't know all my biological siblings. I have issues in my life, and she has to play the role of everything, and it's exhausting for her. It's exhausting for me because I don't want her to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's perfectly normal to go, hey, I need something that's other than this. You know what I mean? And as the woman, and I hope anyone that's listening can understand this, it's their job, in my opinion, to be okay with that. Mm-hmm. And it's hard when you're in a relationship because you want to be everything for that person. Right. But I'll speak as myself. She can't be that person. I tell her all the time, like, I need to go hang out with my friends, even the ones that aren't the best friends, because I need to know what it's like to be that person so I can understand what it's like to be in these other relationships. Mm-hmm. I need the crazy friend that gets me in trouble because it makes me feel something. Right. I need the friend that has good advice because I need that. Mm-hmm. I need the friend that doesn't speak to anyone but is always behind me and has my back. Yeah. I need the crazy person that will fight anyone if they talk crap to me because I need to feel protected. Yeah. Like, you need these relationships, and so you need sometimes a person that you can just kind of dump all that to, and then just have them decipher it and shoot back at you the ideas that they think will be helpful. Yeah. And so that'd be my advice to you if you did go see someone.
I do want to. Honestly, I do want to, but I always find some excuse or a reason not to go.
What do you think is your reason?
I honestly don't know if I can follow through with whatever advice they're going to give me. But it comes back to me not even experiencing it or giving the opportunity to even happen.
But what if they don't even give you advice?
Yeah. How about if they just sit there and listen?
You're in a counseling session right now and you don't even know it.
Exactly. Right?
This is literally like you could take everything we've said or you could take none of it, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's kind of what a counseling thing is.
And that's how I'm taking it. Like, I feel
so you're saying the pressure, like you feel like it'll be that way, and that's why you haven't done it before.
Exactly. Just being judged or him giving me an advice on something that I don't completely agree with or whatever him or her, right? I don't mean him, I said just being male counselors, but just that feeling of man, I'm here because I need, like, I'm not perfect, and I need to realize that nobody is perfect, and it is okay to ask for help, and it is okay to speak to someone and get stuff out of your chest that you can't potentially.
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is your dad like that?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't ask for help, and
absolutely
his way is the highway. I kind of could guess that, like, a little bit. That's typically where we get it from, huh?
And I speaking back, about my dad, he pretty much he's lied his whole life, so I have this problem myself that I feel like everybody lies, and it just comes back to that. So even with my relationship now, I don't think Jen will ever do anything to hurt me. Absolutely nothing to hurt me. But I feel I always have that question in my head, like, what if? What if she's lying to me? What, like, it just always, I don't have that trust anymore. It's because of, like, that trust has been completely destroyed, and it comes deep. It's not just relationship. It's just, it comes from my own home. Like, that relationship is completely, that trust is completely destroyed. It's gone. Like, I don't believe people, honestly.
People with parents that act that way typically grow to be the opposite. And so I think you're right to feel that way, but I think that you're probably not. It's more habitual at this point, if I had to guess. Like, that's just how you were raised, so you feel that way. Are you saying, let me ask a clarifying question before I give my opinion. Are you saying in moments that happens, or you feel that way all the time? Like, if she was saying, maybe she's gone and her phone dies and comes back and she says, my phone dies, she's never done anything to mislead you. Her phone probably did die, right, but your brain goes, what if she did it?
Exactly.
Does that happen pretty often?
More often than not.
Yeah. First of all, I think that's normal. I think I've gone through a little bit of that too. And so it's like, I think that what do you if you had to give advice to yourself, obviously you don't want to feel that way because you're talking about it. And so, like, I guess the first thing I would tell you is that it's normal to feel that way. I think I felt that way. I think a lot of people listening probably go like, hey, I felt that way too. I always think about it like this. What is that info going to accomplish? Like, let's say, and I have this take or this stance with Laura. I don't give a fuck what she does. And then when I say that, I don't mean, like, go do whatever you want. Right. Here's the thing. Every single relationship that I've been in, I've been cheated on. Every single one. Every single one. I've never cheated in my life. I told Laura one day that I wish I had. And it became, like, we argued about that. She's like, what do you mean? Like, here's my reasoning behind that. And there's a point to all this, so I'm telling you the story. Which is weird. No girl wants their guy to be like, I wish I cheated.
Right.
And she didn't understand me. I think she does now because we talked about it. I wish that I knew that experience because I want almost exactly what you said. We're like, hey, I don't want to ever feel like that again because someone did it to me. And so I now know not to do it back. You also know what it's like to be the person that does it. That's my only thing is I always think from the mindset of a parent. Which I'm sure you can relate on this way. I am not a parent, but every single thing I do, I anticipate how this affect my children one day. That's going back to Will, the guy that thinks that his math sucks as 100. You know what I mean? Like I'm always looking for ways to be better, and so I think, hey, I'm gonna be a parent, and I don't want my kids to feel this way, and so I thought of it like that, and I thought, what if my child is growing up and is dating, and is either thinking about cheating or has cheated or something. I don't have any advice for them. Like I have the advice that I have because I like know stuff that I've heard.
Right.
But like it would be cool to be like, hey, you don't want to like this is what happened to me, and then for them to go like, damn, like that happened to my dad, and I love my dad. You know what I mean? I don't want them to go through that. Like I don't want anyone that I'm dating to go. Kind of what you said. Maybe I can help them skip that part and without doing it. And so that's what I meant by it. Is I wish I had that experience to share. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, she has that experience, so she can like experience, like she could talk about it, and I have the experience of being cheated on, and so I can talk about that too. But I always felt like that. I don't know why I got off on this tangent, like what you were saying, but like pretty much I've always felt like it's good to hone in those things that you have, the mistakes that you have, the ones that your parents make, the ones that you maybe might pass down to your kids or something, and to own them and to just go like, hey, like this is. I want to be something different,
right?
But it's also okay that I have this history.
Yeah, and I always tell her like I trust you, but I feel like it's just me wanting to trust her. But
that's what it was. I was trying to think. I'm like, why was I telling this goddamn story? So it's important to remember in those moments that like the information is what I was talking about. Like, what are you accomplishing, right? When you tell them that, and it's really really hard to like not say those things. But like think about it. How about you honor the way you feel, right? Because I don't think you're wrong. I said that multiple times. Right. I think you're normal. Instead of reacting, let's use that exact example. And I'm making this up. And if it applies in any way, then just think of that moment. But let's say like that exact thing happened. She's gone. Her phone dies. I don't know if Jen's phone dies. Laura's phone dies every time she leaves. She dies in the house sometimes next to the ports. And so it's like, if that happened and she leaves for 2 hours because she's going shopping or has some stuff to do and her phone dies, so she comes back and you have that thought, how about honoring the fact that you feel that way and then just telling her, hey, I had to do this with Laura for a different reason. Hey, can I talk to you about something? Yeah, sure. Hey, I know this is probably legitimate, but this is like PTSD almost. This is how it makes me feel. I feel like I don't know where you were for 2 hours. I don't want to be the guy that's like focused on where you're at. I'm not controlling. It's really just me. But it would make me feel more comfortable if you charge your phone before you go because it makes me feel these things because my dad felt this way, his dad felt this way, I felt this way.
Yeah.
I know it's not that way. I trust you.
Yeah.
But for me, and so I can learn how to get over that, like maybe like you can try to charge your phone before you leave or make more of an effort. That'll make me feel better. Because in that scenario, you got to acknowledge that your feelings are hurt. You got to acknowledge why, but you also got to not blame it on her, right? And so she skips the whole part where she's like, well, I never cheated. You think I'm cheating? What are you doing? If you think that I'm that whole thing goes away because you've already acknowledged it. So you can get straight to the part where like, this isn't working. What are we going to do about your phone when you go out? Because this is what it makes me feel. And
I feel like I have gotten to that point.
Yeah.
But it's always a barrier. Like
what do you think it is?
Like this wall. Like it's like I'm always crazy. I'm always fucking crazy. Like, no, you're crazy for even thinking that. Yada yada. Like it's always that.
Wait,
like,
you think you're crazy or she thinks you're crazy?
She thinks I'm crazy. She thinks I'm like anything that I try to say to like she could change to make me feel better. I'm completely nuts. Like
okay, so that's a whole other part of the story, right? Yeah. There's probably also stuff that could be done on the other side.
Right.
Which is hard because you want them to also like do that part, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way. That is a little crazy to her. Like someone that comes home in her head. Think about the other side, right? You're feeling what you're feeling. Meanwhile, she goes to the store, is buying groceries for home in this made-up scenario, and her phone dies, and she comes home, and now she's got to deal with you talking about how, you know what I mean? And so in her head, she's like, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard to hear that, but it's like, that is her perspective.
Absolutely. And I completely understand. At the beginning, I feel like I was going at it maybe the wrong way, so I'm learning to approach it completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So once I say those things, to her, I'm still crazy. Like, like I'm fucking crazy. So like, by example, like the other day, like there's no communication whatsoever. And ever since, I always live like this way, but I just like to know, like, just let me know that you're alive throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to know you're 24/7, where you were, what you did, step by step. But at least, like, hey, I'm having lunch with whoever, right? Whatever the case may be. Like, just some type of communication throughout the day. Every time
What do you think you get from the communication? Let's say that was happening. What would you get? Just peace?
It's just that little peace of mind.
Yeah.
Like, that peace of mind. She's good. She's okay.
Is it safety that you're worried about?
It's a safety more
when you're worried, like go to that moment. Are you worried that she's unsafe?
Yeah, not necessarily that she's unsafe, but I guess it kind of goes back to it. It's just that the safety piece. Like, yeah, she's good. She's thinking of me.
You're a protector, huh?
I'm very protective.
Yeah, I can see that in you. I think I'm understanding you a little bit better. So it's weird to say that, right? Because you're like you don't need to check it. I feel the same way.
Right.
I feel like Laura's a shitty driver.
Yeah.
And so, like, when her phone dies and she's gone, I go, she's fucking, like, wrecking right now. Like a fucking idiot. Like,
it takes you there.
And then I'm crazy, right? Because, like, she's driven her whole relationship. She hasn't been in a single wreck.
Right.
But I see her drive, and it's a little risky compared to what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels that way, right? And so, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it feels...
And she's so...
It comes from a good place where you just want her to, like...
Absolutely.
Be in, like, an okay place. And you need to know that everything's okay.
That everything's okay. Because I'm not home.
Are you comfortable admitting that?
Yeah,
like, absolutely. Hey, I care to know that everyone's safe around.
Absolutely.
Me. Yeah.
She's with the kids pretty much every single minute that she could potentially be free from work.
Yeah.
She's with the kids. I'm working. I work in El Paso. So I have an hour drive. I leave the house early. I come home late. Mm-hmm. So I can't protect them while I'm over there.
So it's like this window where the only thing you have is her text or call or word saying that everything's cool.
Exactly.
Do you think you've ever told her that? Like that way?
I don't think I have told her.
It's hard to say that shit when you're upset, huh? Yeah, maybe you should try that.
Yeah.
Dude, I think that you coming from a good place, man. I think people don't understand. Mm-hmm. This is what we're talking about earlier. Like, hey, like, all right, what's really going on here? Right. That is so hard to do, bro. Yeah. Specifically in a relationship. I have plenty of instances where, like, Laura says something, and I'm like, fuck that. Yeah. And I spend the rest of the 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes explaining to her how crazy her thought is, that I'm forgetting to go, like, what was she really trying to say here? Right. And I think it works both ways. Yeah. I think you deserve that too. It takes work. But, like, when you're getting upset or whatever it is, instead of getting upset back, maybe she can go, like, hey, what are you really, like, what's going on? Right. Because you're not this person. You seem like this person right now. It's like, what's really going on? Yeah. I think as men, we need to hear that sometimes. Absolutely. Because we're stubborn as fuck. Absolutely. And, like, we just want to, like, this is how I feel. Yeah. But I know that the times where Laura where she doesn't get offended, which she's worked really hard at, by the way, because she used to get offended a lot. She's so good now at this that when I go, like, what do you think I'm, like, like, I get that. And she doesn't even, like, react anymore. She's like, well, hey, like, what's going on? Like, I think, like, which I hate, by the way, is guessing. She does it a lot. I think it's because, like, you're scared that I'm like, don't guess. Because sometimes she's right. And I'm like, God, you don't know. But as men, sometimes we need to be told, like, hey, you're good.
Right.
Like, hey, what's going on? Like, I got you no matter what. Yeah. And then, like, it shouldn't be that way, right? I don't think that people deserve to get angry at. Mm-hmm. But as men, or at least as a man that I'm admitting to, I think I need that too, to where it's like that point where it's like, even though I'm wrong, like, can you just be calm, comfort me, and then ask me again? Mm-hmm. Because I think I could figure out how to say the right things when I'm not worked up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I completely agree with you. And I feel like maybe me approaching it different, maybe after I'm going to calm down a little bit.
Yeah. Walking away is a big one too. That's hard.
Walking away is super hard, especially when you're talking to a spicy Latina, and then you got a
both
fucking stubborn ass Puerto Rican dude.
You got double Latin culture in your household,
it's
man.
Definitely, I'm seeing it on my kids now too. It's
it's tripled and quadrupled. Yeah.
Hey, go to sleep. Fuck you. I'm like, what the fuck?
God damn it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, no, absolutely. I'm gonna take that advice. Because I feel like I should definitely approach those things a little bit different myself. Yeah. That's what I need to work on, my approach to these things. And I just hope that she watches this podcast and take your advice as well. As far as like,
maybe my advice is shit, but at least we're like talking about it out loud, right?
Hey, man.
And so that's
something gotta. No, just kidding.
One thing I did notice, though, and I won't spend too much time talking about it, but I think you should notice, I like how you are with your kids. I noticed when we were over there with the Super Bowl, I hang out. Almost all my friends are parents. And so I hang out as a non-parent. I hang out with them and their kids. And so I'm very observant as the interaction with the kids. And I don't know. Everyone's different. Culturally, everything changes and people parent different ways. Some people more aggressive, people more chilled. But I do notice some small things. And I try to incorporate it, again, because I'm always thinking about when I become a parent. I like something that you do that is almost exclusively missing from some of the other people I know. And not all. I hope people listening to this aren't getting upset. I'm not calling anyone out. I'm saying this is more of like a good thing for you. I feel like first of all, you're very aware of your kids, which I think most parents are. They have the mom ear or the dad ear where they're like paying attention to things that might break. But I noticed at a bunch of times during the Super Bowl, which is typically moments where guys are like, shut up, like I'm watching Super Bowl. I felt like you were interacting with your kids, and then you asked at one point your son to do a thing to show me while I'm watching the Super Bowl, which to me was annoying, not literally because I'm trying to watch the game, but afterwards when I reflect on it, I'm like, that's cool that like you're doing something that you're obviously passionate about, which is watching sports, but you're also like your kids come before that, and then you were very attentive to what they were doing, acknowledge what they were saying, and then we're excited to show off what they were doing, and like it was kind of cool. And I was like, there's a lot of people that I know that are parents that do the opposite. I think part of it comes from the pressure of hosting, where they're like, hey, like shut up kids, my friends are here, and I feel like you didn't do that at all. Like I think that's pretty cool.
I think it comes back to my pride.
In what way?
I'm very prideful as far as just showing off my kids too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look, my kid can do that. Like, he can dance. It's pretty cool. He's
I can
pretty
see
funny.
that in you. Yeah.
And then my daughter, she's very like more like shy, but she can do her own things as well. And as long as her brother is showing off, then she's gonna try to show off as well. So I try to like break the ice with him first. Like, here, show Will. You know what you can do, and then she'll
like
come.
Join in.
Yeah.
She remember when she I said, "What's your name?" And then she told her brother to tell me her name.
Exactly. That's exactly the personalities. Like he's just so outgoing. She's a little bit more laid back. Let me test you out first, and then we'll see how cool we can be. Yeah. So that's just who she is. But I feel like I want my kids to understand. Like, yes, I am their dad, but through the whole life until I die, they can count on me 100%. Like, I'm gonna be their friend before I am their dad, and that's just bottom line. And that's a relationship that I wish I had with my parents. I feel like now that we're getting older, it's getting a little bit better to that point. Like, it's more of a friendship than a mom, son, or dad. Son.
But you enjoy that more, don't you?
I do, because I feel like I can talk more about different things. I feel like I can go to them about different things. I feel like I can check in on them and make sure that everything is okay. Maybe they can talk to me about different things. And I want my kids to understand, like, that's the way I want our relationship to be.
I like that you said that. This is something I remember from you, because I like that you said that I'm their friend before I'm their parent. I don't think anyone else would say that, but I do think that it embodies the beliefs that I feel. I feel like in a parent, as someone who didn't grow up with biological parents, I really just wanted a friend.
Right.
Yeah, so I like that, man. That's a good point. Yeah. Like, you got to learn how to be their friend, because you want to be their parent, right? But if they don't bring you the information because they don't trust you, then you don't really. Yeah. In a way, by being their friend, you're more of a parent, right?
Absolutely,
because that's really cool.
What happens is, whenever you become their parent and not their friend, they will not tell you things. They're gonna do things behind your back. Then once you find out, then you get all pissed off, and then you make the relationship even worse.
So then you know for sure, don't let it. It's weird how that's how kids' mind works. They don't go like, I'll be honest next time. They're like, we got to hide it better.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. And I want my kids, like, let's say she finds her first boyfriend.
Yeah.
I want her to talk to me about him. and I'm gonna give her advice. I'm not gonna tell her you can't have a boyfriend, because of course she's gonna have a boyfriend.
What if she had a girlfriend? Would you care about that?
So that's a conversation. I don't think we have gone pretty deep, me and Jen, about it. That's something that I would absolutely be a little bit against.
Really?
Yeah, but however, I would definitely support her 100%. 100% I will support her.
We won't dive too deep into that because it might be like the world's longest conversation.
Yeah.
But well, let's unpack it a little bit because I don't want to leave it just at that. What do you mean? Like, are you referring to religion? Are you referring to how you feel as a human being? Like
both.
Both.
My beliefs say that man and female should be the way life should go on. So you can pretty much continue your generations to come. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like just seeing her with her same sex is probably gonna hurt me a little bit, break me a little bit.
But do you think that has more to say about how you grew up and like what you're used to seeing and like that vibe?
Well, you know what? That's a conversation I had with Jen as well before. She tells me that she feels like people just they're born that way. And in my belief, I feel like people are that way due to the experiences that they gone through their life. Because I don't know, have you ever experienced a man before you experience a female? You know what I mean?
No, but when someone has, I think the point in the story would be if she, let's say your daughter in this made up scenario is telling you, hey, I think I like girls, she probably did have an experience, like you said, experience different than what she thought would be there. Right. So I get what you're saying. First of all, I think it's cool that you're even talking about it because people don't have the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And so that right off the bat, like I think is pretty cool. There's nothing wrong with that either, I think. But like, so do you think that, but you also said at the end of that, but I'll support them no matter what.
Absolutely.
So
whatever makes her happy.
Yeah.
Whatever makes her happy.
So do you think you would make your opinion known, but then get over it, or do you think that you would like? How would that look? What would that look like?
So, as my daughter, I will come up to her and just express my opinion.
Yeah.
I said, this is the route you want to go. I will support you. I will have your back 100%. I would like to meet this person.
Yeah.
See what kind of person she is, and then just take it from there. I will not turn my back against her. I will not do anything to jeopardize my relationship with my daughter because that means more to me than anything else in the world.
Well, you're saying some important things, which is this is how I feel. This is how I would feel about my daughter. That's how I feel now and would feel in the future. And I would leave the door open to figure things out. I think that you're doing three of the most courageous things, which is saying, this is how I feel now. Because people always like if there's a popular opinion, which is not what you're saying, right? Mm-hmm. And so like to be able to say what you're saying is pretty cool. But then to also go like, hey, at the end of the day, I'm going to choose my daughter. Right. I think that's pretty cool. Yep. And you're essentially saying like, hey, I want to figure things out.
Right.
I think that's like literally the best scenario that you can have. Yep. And so I think that's pretty cool. I think that, and I always make a joke about this. I always tell, and I tell people like, I think I'm going to raise our kids gay. And then maybe they'll fool around in college and become straight.
That's not a bad advice, actually.
And then everyone, like whoever, if someone heard that right now, I got offended. Yeah. Don't. It's just a joke. I don't think I'll actually do that. Yeah. But I do think as a parent, I do think, going back to your advice of being a friend, like I do think that there's things that I do or don't understand and I don't care. I think my job is to figure it out. And so if I'm being 100% honest, I kind of prefer if my kids were gay. And I'll talk about that like in more extent in a different podcast. Okay. But I think that like it makes me uncomfortable to have to teach my children about things that I've been through. And those relationships, I feel like I've been hurt. We talked about this earlier. Right. I've been hurt relationships. I've had great relationships. I've had bad relationships. I've had different relationships. And so I feel this pressure to like do the right thing based off of my life. I feel like if my kid came and told me he's gay, I would feel like a sense of relief. And I'm like, dude, you can teach me. Like, if it's my son, you can teach me about that. I don't have to feel this pressure of being a parent to you because then I get to learn from you. Same thing if I had a daughter and she was into girls, I would feel a sense of relief. Like, oh, you teach me how to deal with this. I don't have to teach you anything. Right. I could skip that whole part where I have to talk.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
And so I think that it's like, anyways, like, yeah, but I always make that joke. But that's really how I feel about it.
You know what would hurt me the most?
What?
If my son tells me he's gay. And I think that comes with the man pride.
Yeah, you got to get over that, man. We'll talk about this off camera too, because I think that I respect you for saying it, but that has a lot to do with the way you grew up. I guarantee it.
Absolutely.
And it's fine. Like it's fine. Like there's nothing. I would much rather like that be a conversation than to be something that's that's because I think you answered your own question earlier when you said at the end of the day, like, I'm gonna do what makes him happy.
Yeah, I'm gonna choose him. 100%.
Yeah. So
Always.
the fact that you're saying that, I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah.
But like, you're allowed to have whatever opinion you want. I think that is probably something that I shouldn't speak on because I don't have a kid, and so I always think that I know the right things to say about stuff because I learn from people like you and people that I know. But in reality, I'm not a parent, and maybe my whole mindset changes when I am a parent.
Yeah.
But I think like it's normal to reflect on your own life and to feel certain beliefs and to it's weird how things get stuck in your head. I'll give you one more example. This is something that's kind of hard for me to admit because I feel like it's controversial, but you inspire me. I feel like you're talking about some things that are personal to you, and I feel like this is how I feel, so I should say it. This is a real thing that happened to me when I was a kid. My mom was dating a guy. His name is Rick. I don't give a fuck. I should say his last name because he's an asshole. He's an abusive guy. He pretty much ruined my family, and she lost all her kids. Not a nice guy. Really not a nice guy. I remember a time he was racist. He's like a Cajun dude, and he would go. He would always tell other people. And as a kid, you pay attention way more than parents give you credit for. He would tell other people. And every racist person says this. I have nothing against black people, but followed by some racist shit. He would say that to whoever. I think sometimes he said it to black people. And now I think about it, he would say, but he would essentially say, I'm not racist. Like, I have nothing against black people, but I just hate how this is. I'm going to try to give you the most verbatim thing that I have in my head. Keep in mind, I must have been like 8 or 9 years old. He would say, like, I just hate how they always had their pants hanging over their ass. They're just sagging around, just being like, not I'm saying, just talking ignorant. And he would say that. And he would say it multiple times to multiple people. Yeah, I have nothing against black people, but the way they're at, they talk ignorant. And he would say that all the time. And people, like, nobody said anything to him.
Right.
So as a kid, I'm like, oh. So I remember hanging out with a Hispanic family that lived down the street. They were talking about racism for some reason. Again, maybe I'm 9 or 10 at this point. And they go, Will, you're not racist, are you? Like, because I'm hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And I go, no. I literally repeated it. No, I'm not racist. I have nothing against black people. I just hate how their pants... And I literally repeated exactly what he said.
Right.
And they're just speaking, not I'm saying, and they're talking all ignorant. And that family looked at me like, oh shit, you are racist. Like, and then he literally told me that. His name was Oliver. And he goes like, Will, you're racist. And I go, no, you're not listening to me. I just said I'm not racist. Like, I didn't get it. But I just hate how, like, and I repeated it again. And they go, Will, you're racist. Like, you know what I mean? And I started realizing, like, wait, I don't actually feel this way. At that time, I had zero experience with a black person acting like that. I was just repeating what someone told someone else that I noticed. Right. And so, like, we're products of our environments, and we tend to repeat the things that... He wasn't my biological father, but he was my father. He had a huge influence on who I am as a person. So it wasn't till I was hanging around with these other people that they pointed out, hey, it isn't actually the way you feel. You just think you feel that way because you heard it. You look up to this person because they're a parental figure, and you feel like you need to feel this way. And, like, that is exactly what it was. I was just repeating and feeling the way that I heard. Like, I remember literally kind of feeling that way. And then when I reflected, I'm like, wait, why do I don't actually feel this way? I just tricked myself into thinking I feel this way. Right. So that's something personal that I can bring up. But I grew from that, dude. In my whole life, like, the majority of my friends have been Hispanic or black. And so it's like I've been more culturally diverse. I've lived in different homes. And so it's like I realized, like, how important it is to see people that you're seeing for that individual person, and just seeing them for the good characters they have and the ones that you don't like. If in fact the good ones outweigh the bad ones, that's your friend, right? I'll give you an example. You're such a good friend, right? And I think after having this one-on-one conversation, we're probably gonna be even better friends, which is why I love this platform, by the way. Me and you have never had an opportunity to have a conversation like this because we're never alone. And the few times we're not really alone, we're in a public place, right? Exactly. And so I like this, but it's that part of it to where it's like you're such a good friend that if you did something that wasn't good at some point, I think it would make, like, we'd honestly be better friends because I go, oh, this is a normal person too. They're regular because no one's perfect.
Right.
But because I know the good stuff outweighs the bad, I'm allowed to see that until it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're running around punching midgets in the face and not tipping waitresses and just acting like an asshole, you're doing all those things. Yeah. Probably still be your friend. But if you did that a lot and it outweighed the good stuff, I'd eventually go like, all right, Abby, we can't be friends anymore. But we have to understand that, like,
are you breaking up with me?
Yeah, I'm breaking up with you. You have to understand, dude. I just can't be with you right now because of your beliefs. You don't even believe we're a couple, man. Nah, man. I feel like I've been talking for a while, but that's truly how I feel, man. I think that's a part of the world that we live in, dude. And it's
absolutely.
I wouldn't want anyone looking at you and treating you any different than they treat me. And so, whatever, man. Yeah. That's the point of this podcast, man. It's just to have different cultures, beliefs, religions, ethnicities, careers, like everything, man. Like I just want people to talk about it, and I hope the people listening go like, "Wow, cool insight. Didn't know that."
Right.
And then learn something.
Absolutely,
from it,
absolutely. That would be nice to. Are we gonna get any calls in? Are we gonna take any calls?
Dude, today, Alexa.
No, but actually, man, I really enjoyed my time here today. I definitely did. Oh, there she goes.
She went to sleep. I said, I don't know. I thought I was supposed to. I'm not gonna say it again because she'll talk. All right, so at the end of every podcast, we do an anonymous confession, which I already picked one out for me and you. So this is how we'll wrap up the podcast. I'll read you the anonymous confession. We'll kind of give our opinions on it, and then we'll be done, brother. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right. I've been having a hard time doing anonymous confessions, and I've mentioned on this podcast before. I eventually want the people that are watching to submit them in, but there's just not a big enough fan base for that yet. But keep that in mind if you're listening. You can always send them in and we'll read them out loud. So I found a new site, and I found this one specifically for this conversation, and I found it like 30 minutes before you got here.
Oh, really?
So I haven't had a lot of time to process it. Here's what I'll tell you. This is an anonymous confession. All it says is it's a female. She's 21 years old. She posted this 2 days ago, so this is pretty fresh. A friend of my boyfriend, who is a girl, confessed her love for him in a letter she put under his door. My boyfriend refuses to let me see the letter and says he loves me. He continues to still text the girl and just recently saw her when going to visit his friends. He ended up sleeping over at her house alone with her, but swears nothing happened. I don't trust either of them at this point, and part of me wants to make both of their lives a living hell. What do you think of that?
He is definitely having something with this other girl.
Bro, that was my first thought.
Like, absolutely he does. As a man, if you are not showing the letter to the person that you're with at that moment, and you're not completely breaking that relationship off, I believe that we were friends. I have somebody else in my life, and you continue to have that relationship and not even wanting to acknowledge that your girl at that moment is completely against it, 100%. You spend the night with her by yourself. Come on, dude. You didn't sleep on the third room down the hallway.
There was no scenario I could think of where staying over was a good idea.
Absolutely
because it sounds like she found the letter, talked to him, and then he recently stayed over.
Yeah.
It's like you would know to not do that stuff. Yeah. Here's something as men we know, and this is coming from a guy who's dating someone who was his friend, right? And me and Laura were friends for 3 years before we ever got together. We dated other people while we were friends. And we never hooked up, did anything while we were friends. But there was always like I chose her over someone else, right? Like my attention was somewhere else, right? But here's the thing is I never did that. But we know as guys, if you're doing stuff like that, it isn't to be friends.
It's not.
As much, even if the guy's denying it. So here's my advice to that girl. First of all, that is, you gotta like draw the line. Because the way she says, like in the confession, she was like, I don't trust any of them. I want to make their lives a living hell. That's the bad approach to take on it. Right. You have to be smart enough to go, this person's doing this. I don't want to do it back to them. Sometimes you got to be the bigger person. Just get out of that relationship and just go, hey, if that's your person, go be with your person. I'm going to go find mine. Yeah. Obviously, we don't think that way in a relationship, but the guy is completely wrong. First of all, if that girl wrote a letter, why are you hanging out with her?
Exactly.
Like, at all. Even if you didn't stay the night, like, dude, you're hanging out with that girl that just made your girl feel weird. Right. If you cared about your girl, you wouldn't put her in a position to be upset like that. So my advice to that girl would be to, I feel like most of my advice tries to be, like, logical. Like, talk to him about it. Don't even talk to him about it. My advice to this girl would be, like, that's it. Be done with that guy. Because if he has this inappropriate relationship with a friend, he probably has other friends, probably more things you don't know about. You don't want to be with someone that's going to prioritize those things.
Absolutely. You don't want to live your life with that stress, with that worried, with those concerns in your head. My advice to this girl would be get the hell out.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about what you can do to make their life a living hell. Think about how you can make your life better.
Yeah.
Get the hell up out of there and show them that you can do it without either one of them.
Yeah.
Like just plain and simple. Sometimes that's our approach to life. How can they hurt me? Let me hurt them back.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to figure out a way to hurt them back, just get out of there, man. Just show them that.
Yeah, it never works out well because let's say you're unsuccessful, then you look even stupider and you feel worse.
Exactly.
But let's say you are successful, which are the only two options, then you're just as bad. When someone does something to hurt someone in a relationship and then someone does something to hurt them back, when people find out about that, they go, these two are toxic. They never look at the person. So whatever that person thought would happen isn't happening.
Absolutely.
You're really just making yourself look stupid and you're stooping to their level and you're justifying the breakup.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's a real thing that people do, though, is they want to find a way to instead of just leaving, they want to justify it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they want to do something like I want you to feel what I felt.
Right.
Like sometimes people need to feel. Sometimes it's more impactful to do nothing.
Exactly.
They go, wait, I hurt you, and you just like were okay with it.
Do you even love me?
Yeah. Or maybe they go like,
this?
wait, what? Like what? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
Maybe they reflect, and you're the real winner because you got them to figure out how to not be shitty to the next person.
Absolutely.
But I've never ever seen. It's promoted like the revenge. Like so-and-so gets revenge on her guy or so-and-so gets revenge on his girl.
Yeah.
It's like promoted and it's cool and it's awesome and like at least on social media. Have you ever seen those videos where it's like guy catches girl cheating?
Right.
So he brings her over. She thinks she's going to get like a Valentine's card.
Yeah.
But instead he I saw one where there's like bugs in a heart and he locked her in the car and everyone like that blew up and everyone's like, fuck that girl. She shouldn't have done that and da-da-da. It's like, yeah, it's cool. But like, that's not how life works. It's glorified in those videos. But like, you're gonna be an asshole.
Like what you got out of it? You just scare her off a little bit. She's still shitting on you.
Yeah,
you know
I mean? Or he's still with that girl in this case.
Right.
So it's like it's definitely not worth it. My advice to this person would definitely be to take the high road and just get out. Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Don't figure it out either. Get out. If it's meant to be figured out, this person will do all the work.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do anything.
Absolutely.
You deserve more than that. Guy or girl, whoever the story is about in any scenario, if you relate, if that's happening to you, just get out. Move on. Fish in the sea.
Can't agree on. That's 100% on top of the head, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming in, brother. It's been fun. My first podcast with you. You're going to watch this podcast, and then the next time you come, you're going to be a pro. You're a pro this time, by the way.
Yeah.
But I loved having you here, man. Let's do it again soon.
I appreciate it again. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm out.